Secret texts, twisted views. Time to separate lies from truth. Not here to burn, but here to see what survives when the mind breaks free. Deconstruct, analyze, open hearts, open eyes. If it falls, let it be. What remains is meant to be. Cyber deconstruction, let's get real. Faith, when challenge starts to peel. If it's built on solid ground, why's it scared to stick around? Not for hate, but for the wise. Truth won't shatter, only lies. Time to start the conversation. Now ain't the time to pretend nothing happened.
Dagda, thank you so much for that 6-month subscription. Thank you so much. And Dagda, thank you for the 5 subscription giveaways. Let's give some massive W's to Dagda in the chat on both YouTube and over on TikTok as well. Massive W's. Thank you so much, my friend. I often joke that he's the creator, sometimes called Dagda, because he goes through these phases where they'll change their name. But it means so much to me. Thank you so much. And yes, Tenebrous over on YouTube, it is definitely cooking time. We're going to run Jesus was a liar and a fraud, and now he's nothing but a carcass. I'd love to hear some debates. I'd love to have you come on up. Right now over on TikTok, we've got 9 people in here right now. We've got 10. Those numbers are going up. We've got a few people over on YouTube. So come on up. I'd love to chat with you. Again, if you do want to talk, if you're over on YouTube and you do want to talk, the link is up there in the box, tinyurl.com/cd-guest. Hop on in. I would love to chat with you. We can bring you over. This way then the people over on TikTok can hear you, and the people on YouTube, they'll be able to hear you. And Christians, remember 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 15 states that if your faith is being challenged, you must give a defense for your faith. And I'm challenging you. I am telling you that Jesus was in fact a liar and a fraud, and now he's nothing but a carcass. In fact, this whole thing didn't need to happen. He gaslit you. He did this to put you into Stockholm syndrome. This right here is one of the biggest causes that makes it difficult for Christians to leave the faith, is because Jesus unnecessarily set you up to be guilt tripped. So hop on in. Let's chat about it. Love to hear your explanation about it. And right now we have Noah's Lion over on YouTube with the $1.99 super chat. Paul was a false prophet. We can run that one. I could probably look at running that one. That would probably be more of a topic for R&R, for Reason and Rebellion. We probably discussed that one over there. For those who don't know, Reason and Rebellion is my live as well. It's mine and my friend Jaron, who runs Christ Before Jesus. It is our server, or it's our podcast for we do once a week. And that's probably a topic we'd run over there, but feel free to go give Reason and Rebellion a follow. It takes place on Thursday nights instead of this stream. I'll be over on Reason and Rebellion with Jaron, and I'd love to hear you over there. Maybe we'll bring that topic up one of these days. Uh, Cool Seba's 007, hop on up. Let's talk about it. I would literally love to hear your explanation. I'd love to have a chat with you. I try to be nice. I match energy. As long as you're respectful, I'll be respectful. Sometimes I think it's a little bit to the detriment to my live, because I think a lot of people like the messier lives. But come on up, and I will shoot you. I'll shoot you an invite. So Cool Sebas, you should see a thing flashing on your screen right now with an invite to pop on up. Come on up and let's talk about it. Love to have a chat with you about it. Marvin over on YouTube, if you sincerely ask, Jesus will forgive you. Come on over to Video Ninja, and I'd love to chat with you. Hop on up. We can definitely talk about it. And it is the case that we have Cool Sebas is denying the request. They hit no. Cool Sebas, it's real easy. I'm up here by myself. It's 1v4. I'm up here by myself. It's you plus the Holy Trinity. You should have the Holy Spirit with you. The Holy Spirit should be able to speak through you. You should be able to answer these questions. It shouldn't be hard. And I just love to have a chat with you. And I do think because of Dagda, I do need to go reset my subscription goal, because Dagda absolutely smacked the frack out of that. See if we can get this. Oh, why it was telling me like to reset the goal. It looks like we're good. We're good. Yeah, these Christians are absolutely scared. They're scared. They don't know we have a Joseph Bailey Jr. over on YouTube. They're not going to come in. Dagda smashing those roses out of the park. Some shout outs here. We've got Dagda in here. Bad Religion, Risa, Chopper Lie, Liz. We got Glitter, Preston. We got Nero Space. We've got Stone Aged. Go check out some other people. Ghost Rider, I think I've seen you in here a few times. So everybody here, thank you. Well, Cyberscribe, if you're not scared, I'll accept that challenge. Cyber, I'm going to send you an invite. They're my fellow Cyber. Hop on up. Cyber, if you're not scared, then accept it. Don't deny it. Just accept it. It's okay. We'll just talk. We'll have a nice conversation. And Joyful, thank you so much for the raid. If you guys aren't already following Joyful Apostate, go give Joyful Apostate a follow. They're under both YouTube and TikTok. Go give him a follow. He and Crystal J make an awesome team. And almost every week, they bring up another creator from the Deconstruction Junction to be a third co-host, and they are absolutely smashing it out of the park. Make sure you give them a follow. Make sure you're giving Dark Knight a follow as well. Cyberscribe, quit running. Cyberscribe, I keep saying you invites. This is invite number 3. Just come on up. Let's talk about it. You're running. Like this is a hell of a run, saying we're not scared, and then you run. It's just goofy. I would honestly love to hear, yes, run away. Here is what I am getting. Like, honestly, this is what I get every time I invite a Christian up, and they sit there and they say, we're not scared, and then we invite you up and you don't come up. This is what we get. Then he's like, not interested in debate at all with you people. Well, I mean, you're just goofy then. You're fucking goofy. I'm sorry, YouTube algorithm. You're fracking goofy. Forgot YouTube makes me wait like 20 minutes before I can start cussing. Cyberscribe, it is the case. It is the case that we don't actually make the choice to belief. It's beyond our control. It's either the evidence actually convinces us to believe, we're either convinced to believe, or we're not. And if God, who knows us, can't give us the evidence that convinces us, that seems like a him problem. That's not a me problem. That's a him problem. And let's see, we've got DJ the Goat. You say you're not disrespectful. This is disrespectful. Hop on up, little bro. Hop on up. Let's have a chat. I'd love to hear your how God or Jesus specifically, but how he's not a liar and a fraud. I would love to hear that. And yeah, Crystal is over in chat on TikTok as well. Crystal and Joyful and any other creators. I'm also live over on YouTube. Before you all head out for the evening, if you guys just want to swing by my TikTok chat and leave a little hello, you can. DJ, I can't invite you. I can't invite you on YouTube. I can on TikTok. I can't on YouTube. However, what you can do is there's a link up there, tinyurl.com/cd-guest. You can go to that link, type it in. It's also in the description. And Jen, let me actually get that pinned. We also have it pinned. And go ahead and hop in there, and I'll bring you over from Video Ninja, and then we can have the chat. Man, we've got all these Christians over. So I have 156 people watching over on YouTube. All these Christians hanging out in chat. Not a one of them having the courage to come up and talk. Destroy. The issue is that the second coming was supposed to happen within 40 years of Jesus's death. Jesus quite literally told the people, "This generation shall not pass away before I come back." He told his disciples, "Some of you standing here will not have died before I come back." And it turns out that he didn't come back. And for the last 2,000 years, everybody's been thinking he's coming back. Your grandparents have probably told you, you're going to see the second coming. It's happening. And and they were told by their grandparents, the second coming's close. It's coming. You're going to see it. Nobody's seen it. It's because it's not happening. Jesus lied. God lied. Am I a theology scholar? No, I do have a master's in theology, but I don't hold myself to be a scholar. No. There we go. There's Crystal over in YouTube. Make sure you give Crystal J a follow. She's over in the YouTube chat. Give her a follow. Watch her lives. She hosts some amazing lives. She also hosts Bible study. So y'all can go and do the Bible study where they dig into the scripture. They oftentimes will have Jewish rabbis come up who'll even look into the Hebrew context behind it. Yep, and her YouTube is I am Crystal Jae. So go ahead and give her a follow. And all these Christians and not a one. Oh, there we go. We've got a Spiral DJ. Let me get him brought on over real quick. Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, and just let me make sure chat can hear you. Can I get your age real quick? Let's see ones in both YouTube and TikTok if you can hear him.
Yeah, no, I'll just give you my age as well. I'm 22.
Okay, sounds like they can hear you. And are you the person I was talking to over on YouTube?
I did come from a YouTube chat, but I don't believe we were talking. I just joined and saw. I wanted to come
Oh,
and
okay.
join. Yeah.
You know what? Let's give this guest some W's. He just scrolled in, saw this, and said, "You know what? I'm going to go talk to him." So let's give him some W's in both chats right now for having the courage to come up and talk. The rest of you Christians over there in the YouTube chat, pay attention. You all are cowards. Anyways, so I'm an atheist. I'm a firm believer that Jesus was a fraud and a liar, and that the crucifixion was unnecessary. Um, Take it away.
Right. So I actually have come across you in shorts before, but kind of never thought to join. I kind of decided to join this time because I am vaguely aware that you're an atheist. I'm not Christian, however. I am Jewish, and I do believe in God. And I kind of wanted to ask that when you say Jesus was a liar and a fraud, I personally myself don't believe that Jesus was a reincarnation of God or that he was God as a man.
Hmm.
And I'm not here now to preach my own religion. What I kind of wanted to ask you was, are you saying that Jesus was a fraud as far as you believe in God but just not Jesus, or that you don't believe in God at all?
Oh, so you're Jewish. I actually I'm ethnically Jewish. I grew up practicing Orthodox Judaism, and I fell away from Judaism because I just found the God of the Bible to be horrific. But that's not the debate for this live. I'll probably run that topic tomorrow. So if you want to come up and discuss that topic tomorrow, I'd be more than willing to have that conversation with you tomorrow. But this topic is only about Jesus being a liar and a fraud,
Yeah,
and that the crucifixion is unnecessary.
100%. I just figured I'd join the ass since no one was joining, and I thought I'd leave if need be.
Yeah, I do appreciate you coming up though. Again, massive W's, Spiral DJ, massive W's. Give me a subscription on YouTube. And again, I usually go live at the same time. I work for Amazon, so the time sometimes gets pushed back a little bit if I get back to the station a little bit later. But I'm usually live right around this time. And let's definitely have that chat tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. And I also appreciate the fact that in all your streams, at least that I've seen, you're usually very civil. So I don't mind the fact that you're an atheist, and or that for that matter, that I can subscribe even though we don't agree. Because I appreciate
Yeah,
that you encourage these
if
debates.
if you don't mind me asking, are you Ashkenaz or Sephardi?
Hasidic. Well, my family is Hasidic, but I'm modern.
Okay, nice. Yeah, let's have that talk tomorrow.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. All right, you see, it's not hard. It's not hard to come up. I always enjoy having conversations with other Jews because the conversation tends to go in a different direction than because Jews don't share the Christian theology on the Old Testament, the theologies not shared, and it's always nice. It's always nice. Let me get this gift goal reset really fast. Thank you, everybody, for smashing that. I absolutely appreciate it. Dagda and Risa and La Paquette. And I've noticed we've been having those. This live has been sent out. Let me see if I can get this guest over here on. Oh, it's Hanji. We got Hanji coming on up. And how you doing,
Hello.
Hanji?
I'm doing all right. You're watching stuff on Vlad Tepish.
All right, let me go make some changes. I want to make sure that I am not blowing ears out on TikTok with
Dagdo just hit your goal again. You're gonna have to reset the new one.
mother. You know what? Let's just keep giving Dagda some massive W's. I'm gonna need to see. I wish it would allow us to give permissions to set these goals to to some of our mods, because I'll be in the middle of a debate and not even pay attention because I'm in the middle of a debate. Anyways, let's get over Fox. So let me bring Fox on over. And Fox, how are you doing?
I'm doing lovely. I'm doing absolutely splendid. I hope you're doing well too.
I'm doing good. Can I get your age? Oh,
I'm
but let me
18.
go check something, because I think we're gonna. Let me know if we're getting echoes. If we're hearing echoes from me, can you count to 10 real quick? I just want to
I
see
can
if we're
count to
getting
10.
echoes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Any
All
echoes?
right. No echoes on YouTube, TikTok. No echoes there. Well, Hanji, you're on the panel. Sometimes we hear things different on the panel. Chat, are we
Oh.
hearing echoes? Sounds good. It sounds good. Okay, I didn't have to make any changes. Sounds like we are good. It might be a little robotish. That is true. There's nothing I can do about that. Are you a Christian?
I've got some. I do not know how I would even describe. I don't know the word for my beliefs because I've not thought about it too much. I've not done too much research into it. I've just done a lot of thinking myself.
All
But I'm
right.
happy
Do
to share.
you believe? Well, let me ask it this way. Do you believe that Jesus unalived on a cross and was resurrected for your sins?
I do not personally,
Oh,
but I do believe that there is a God.
but you do believe there is a God.
Yes, I
All
think.
right.
I think the Bible and all other religions and stuff. I feel like they're just loose interpretations, and I think a lot of them didn't really happen. But I do think that there is something up there, that made us.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's not the topic for today. The guy before you, today's topic is that Jesus is a liar and a fraud, and now he's nothing but a carcass. But come up on another day. You could probably come up tomorrow, and we could probably discuss that tomorrow. I'd love to have that chat with you. It's just today's not that day.
Okay, I do just want to say one thing. It rubbed me slightly the wrong way. I get it. I'm not trying to be a dick about it or anything. Sorry if I can't say that. I'm not trying to be rude about it or anything. But I don't know. The last line of the topic of the chat, and now he's a carcass. It just rubbed me the wrong way. It seemed a bit disrespectful.
Oh
But
yeah,
I'm not trying
it's
to be
meant
rude
to
about
be
it.
yeah, it's meant to be provocative because it gets the people going.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I see that.
Yep. Anyways, you thanks for coming. I appreciate you. All
You have
right,
a
we are
great
going
time.
to bring up. Let me make sure we don't have anybody. You know what? We'll make Sticky Bandits. Wait, we always have issues with Sticky Bandits. We're going to bring up the one and only Maryanne again. We'll see how this one goes. It's always interesting with Maryanne. How are you doing, Maryanne?
Hi, Cyber. How are you?
I am good. Yourself?
I'm great. Did you look up the stuff that I showed you?
Yeah, I looked them up. But the
All
issue
of
that
it?
you're gonna,
Or just some
yeah, I
of
looked
it?
up. No, I looked up most of them. But what you're gonna find is that even with most of those, you can see even within those texts where it was
Mm-hmm.
fulfilled already. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not anything that applies to Jesus, or it just doesn't get fulfilled at all. Are there any of those that you would like to discuss? Because these do fall under Jesus was a liar and a fraud, because yours are revolving around the messianic prophecies. So yeah, which one of those would you like to tackle? And we can
Which,
definitely talk about it.
remember that one comment where I said that there was like one thing that I said, it was saying how Jesus, where it says that he called us our children, and he called us sons of or sons and daughters of God. He said, how could he bring us to our how could we be named that way if um if he wasn't God himself? How could he make us children of God if he wasn't God himself? And that, because that would go ahead and contradict John. Do you remember that comment?
Oh, I think you're forgetting. I'm an atheist. I don't think God exists. I think the whole books were just made up presupposing there's a God.
Wow. Oh, so you think that the whole book is just made up?
Yeah.
The whole Bible? The whole Bible from beginning to
I
end?
So I believe that there are like some historical events to set a tone. But yeah, I believe they're made up. I believe there's some background characters, but like for example, Moses never existed. The Exodus never happened. We've got no evidence of Moses existing. We have no evidence of the Exodus. When it comes to like Jesus, sure, we have evidence that John the Baptist existed. We have evidence that Pilate existed. But as far as the Bible narrative about Pilate, the Bible narrative gets it wrong. All the historians that tell us about Pilate tells us that he and in fact, if you didn't know this, he was actually removed from office because of how he was treating the Jews. He was removed from office because even the emperor was like, "Holy fuck, dude, calm down." We have a story. Have you read Josephus at all?
No, but let's go back to Moses because you said that
Okay.
Moses never existed, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So what about that rock that the the archaeologists found on Mount Sinai?
Yeah,
What
so the
what about
rock
that?
that is split. Yeah, so the rock that is split has known weather patterns, and there's flash floods that happen in that area all the time. In fact, if you just Google research on it, you'll find that it's just natural weathering that the rock has had, and it has nothing to do with
Between
Moses.
hold on. Natural weathering just between the two split rocks.
Yep.
Does that make logical sense to
Yeah,
you?
we can look it up.
Yeah, look at the picture, please. Because if you just Google Moses rock split, there's gonna be a picture, a huge picture, and the rock is in the middle. It's split up, and when the archaeologists, like when they were looking at it, they found that it was weathered by water.
Oh,
Um,
archaeologists
in
wouldn't.
that
Hold
in
on.
the middle.
Hold on. Archaeologists wouldn't look at that. That's not something that archaeologists would look at. That is something that geologists would look at.
A geologist, whatever. You get my point. My point is that they looked at the rock, and the people that researched those things said that there was the rock was like weathered from water, and it was only between those two rocks, and it's still in existence today. So can you please explain that to me?
Huh? Oh yeah. Can we explain? Yeah, we could go find a thing. So yeah. So
Yeah,
the
it's right there.
science.
I'm looking right at the rock right now. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, we can go find what the reasoning for
Don't
this. We
kick
can go
me
find
off
this.
when you don't agree with me, okay? You need to tell
Well,
me
if you
if
quit
you
it,
don't wanna
hold
talk to
on.
me anymore.
The only time you get kicked is when you get shown that you're wrong, and they just keep
No, no.
interrupting
Well,
me.
I'm not. No. You can tell me I'm done talking, and then I'll hang up. But don't just kick me off while I'm in the middle of asking or talking, because I didn't like that. You did that to me twice, and I came on
Cope
wrong.
harder,
But
crybaby.
I mean, you can explain that to me because that rock is right in the middle, and it's split right in the middle, and they looked it up and tested it and said this is it's there was water that came down.
Let's see. So I'm
Also,
reading
I'm
stuff, and
seeing
I'll get.
everything as like a
Yeah, I want you
natural
to Google it.
formation.
Don't like read certain yours.
Yeah.
I don't know where you're getting your information from, but I want you to Google it. Like so we both have the same source.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so what you can look up is you'll see that's what's called a frost wedge that probably came from the time of glaciers, and it's a frost wedge where there was water that got inside the rocks. And then when it freezes, it causes it to crack. These are things that are seen all over the world. It's nothing new. In fact, we have one that is in Joshua Tree National Park that looks quite similar to it. In fact, I'll get this one brought up on. You're not going to be able to see it, but
No,
chat
I'm not
will
gonna
be
be able
able
to
to
see it.
see
What
it.
is it? What's the name of it? Tell me what's the name of it?
It's the name of the rock is. Let me go find this. So look up frog wedging in Joshua Tree National Park. And we'll get this brought up for chat to see.
But that looks nothing like what Moses Rocks looks like. Okay.
Oh yeah, because the frost wedge split it in a different way. Instead of splitting it down the middle where gravity would pull it like this, it was split like this, so this is still going to sit on top of it. Let me get properties up, make sure we can get this opened up. So this is what we're looking at here.
You know that video that I showed you where Jesus, where you said that guy, when he created the light.
Yeah,
You
did you
saw
see the
that video?
did you see the
Yeah.
response that I sent to you? And the one that
Yeah, I
she's
saw the
talking
video,
about
but do you
is
see?
this one.
No, but did you see how the guy was so scared and he was like barely touching? He was like, "It's really hot. It's really hot." And then at the end of the video, he goes, "Well, it's nothing crazy like what the other videos
Yeah,
you're
he debunked
showing."
it. The whole guy debunked it. Do you want? I'll show it here
No, no,
on
no.
live.
But
I'll
at
go
the
look it
end,
up. I'll show it here on live, and we'll debunk it in front of everybody. We have 632 people right now watching on
doesn't.
YouTube.
But what he
Do you
had
want?
to do is he was in. Hold on a second. But he was in by
Mm-hmm.
him. He was in, and he had to do all of this stuff to do it, and he had to add so many things. There's cameras there showing you that there's nothing.
Oh,
So
did you
people are
not hold
there.
on? Did you not see the response where one of the priests who actually performs it is
There's no
in the
priest that
tomb?
performs it.
Well, it's
The
a
priest
bishop that
never. Nobody
performs it.
performs it.
It
No,
is performed. How does the flame? How does the flame come out of the tomb?
it's called a miracle.
No, but how does it come out of the tomb?
A miracle.
No. Like,
A
does somebody have to
miracle.
go in? Listen. Does somebody have
Yeah.
to go in the tomb and grab it and bring the candle out?
The light. No, the light comes out of the tomb, and then the guy goes in. He just puts the candle by the light, and the light comes up. And people put it
Yeah,
on their heads. Right.
yeah. So hold on, listen.
And they put it on
Because
their faces.
hold,
They put it
hold
on
on,
their
hold
ears,
on. I'll
and they
go
leave
find the
it on.
video.
They leave it on
Hold
their
on.
face.
This is why you get kicked. This is why you get
Yeah.
kicked, because you don't listen, right? So, right, I sent you a video. I don't know if you watched it, but I sent you a YouTube video where there is a person, one of the people, for 3 years. He has gone in to perform this. He's been the one to go in and place the candle next to the light. He's done it 3 years. He's wrote a book on it. There's actually 3 other Orthodox people that have done this, who have written books, and they have said it's not true. They go in, they use a lighter, they light it with a thing. That's why they go in alone. Nobody else is allowed to go in. And as of now, they make it a point to make sure the candle doesn't go all the way out to the edges, because it turns out that during this time period, the Jerusalem hospitals were getting a lot of burn victims in. And in order to prevent that from happening, because that was destroying the illusion of the miracle. And so for chat, for everybody that wants to know what she's talking about, on Easter in the Orthodox Church, they go to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and there is a divine light, which was actually started by the Catholic Church. If you research it, it came from the Catholic Church. It was a Catholic tradition. But they go into the tomb where Jesus' body was buried, and on Easter there's a divine light that comes down, and a priest goes in there and sets a candle down, and it lights the candle on fire, and then they pass it around. Now, there's a YouTube video that you can find where one of the priests who performs this is being interviewed, and he says, "Look, I've done this," and he's like doing it that year, right? So this is his 4th time doing it, and he says he's never seen it done naturally. He's never seen it supernatural. It's never been supernatural. It's always natural. Every time he has seen it done, and every time he's done it, he's had to go in there and use a lighter. And then another priest is overhearing him saying this, and this other priest comes in and tells him to shut up. And this is all on interview. Shoot me a message if you want the video, and I'll send it to you.
Let me
And
ask you a question.
well, hold on. Let me finish. So it is the case that in this thing, there are thousands of people in the church, which raises the temperature, which causes people to sweat. When you sweat, you can run flame over your skin and it won't burn you. I can go grab a lighter right now and I can put the lighter to my skin and it won't burn me. I can move it over my beard and it won't burn me because I'm moving it. Now, if we add sweat, that allows me, especially if my beard is wet with sweat, that now allows me to hold it in place until that sweat evaporates, right? Which is why you never see anybody holding this candle to their face for more than like a couple seconds at a time. Show me a video. What I want you to do, I want you to find me a video where somebody takes that flame and they walk outside of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre with it alone and they hold it on their beard for 20 minutes. Show me where they're holding it on their beard for 20 minutes with the video unclipped. Then I'd be impressed. Have them hold it on their arm for 20 minutes without moving the candle, and I would be impressed. But it is the case that due to how physics and body sweat works, they're not going to get burned, which is why they had to implement how far out they allow the candle go, because once they started moving it to where it was near air vents and it wasn't as hot in that area, people were getting burned.
Okay. So the thing is, you want everything to be proven to you. You want everything to be
These are
logical.
your points these are your bad talking
It
points.
doesn't. Right. But the problem. See, the thing is that the Bible writes all of this stuff down. That people who, like Thomas himself, who was a disciple of Jesus, didn't believe that he was raised from the dead. Okay.
Oh,
And
where's
Jesus
his book?
appeared to him,
Where did he
and
write
he
about
said,
it?
Thomas.
Where did he write about it?
Thomas.
Yeah, where did
The
he
one
write
on his
about it?
resurrection.
No, where did Thomas write about it?
It's in the four Gospels.
Oh, we don't have Thomas's writing, though? We have somebody else writing what Thomas saw?
Okay, that's besides the point. But the point is.
Oh,
that
so we
Jesus
don't have
came and
Thomas's
said,
writings.
So I can't tell my friend what you just told me because you didn't write it down. Like I can.
Oh,
talk
you
and I
can.
tell him. I can. I can.
You
So
can.
I can
Well,
write down
hold on,
exactly
hold on.
what you just said.
You can, but I could also tell my friends that you told me a story about how you saw a purple dinosaur going downstairs singing songs to kids. Does that make it any true?
But if 500 people or more than 500 people have seen him during the 40
Do we have
days
any?
that he
Do we
was
have
alive,
any? Hold on. Do we have any writings from any of these 500 people?
yes, you have
Who?
them. You have 70 apostles. You have all the disciples.
Hold
you have
on,
70
hold on.
all of these
Hold on.
Why would
Hold
they
on, hold
die
on.
for
The
something
hold on,
alive?
hold on. When Paul mentions this, right? When Paul mentions this, he makes a clear distinction. Paul says, aside from himself, the family, and the 12, he says, I have been told that 500 other people have also seen this. Can you tell me where the writings of these 500 people are at?
Then why can't you tell me why would they kill them? Why is Christianity so vastly growing?
Hold on. There
If
was
all of
no
this is not
hold on. I'm going to answer the first statement you're trying to make because it's silly. There's no evidence of any Christian persecution until about 3 to 6 years before Constantine. Before Constantine, there is no evidence of Christian persecution.
So there's no evidence, not one.
Not one. What we have are 2 laws that were made that predated Christianity, that even predated the Romans entering Judea. And these 2 laws are, Law 1, it was illegal to assemble in groups without a permit. Pliny the Younger, who wrote in 111, writes a letter about how he had to break up and torture, mind you, because that was the punishment. Pliny the Younger had to break up and torture a volunteer fire department while they were fighting a fire. While fighting a fire. Because they did not have the permit to meet. Right? That was
Can I
the
ask
Roman
you
law.
why-
Hold
why
on.
Christians-
So that's
okay.
law. Hold on. That's law 1. Law 2 is you were allowed to worship whatever deity you wanted as long as you also paid homage to the Roman gods. So under these 2 laws, it meant that Jews were also held under these laws. Jews were also punished under these laws. Greeks who refused to bow knee to the Roman gods were also punished under these laws. Anybody who was conquered and being occupied by the Romans, if they refused to pay homage to the Roman gods, they were punished. Christians weren't unique. It wasn't Christian persecution. It was just the law.
The law was either you bow down to our gods or you bow down to the one and only God.
Well, and were other culture. Hold
those were
on.
the 2 things.
Hold on, but I'm not saying the law was just. I don't think the law was just. The law was unjust as fuck. But that doesn't change the fact that it was the law, and it doesn't change the fact that not only the Christians were punished under this law.
Well, no, the Christians were the ones punished under this law because it's either you worship.
Hold on, were
gods, you
Jews
worship-
were Jews punished under the law? Were Jews punished under the law?
Yes.
Okay, were
were.
Greeks who refused? Hold on.
because-
So
because
listen. Were Greeks
Yeah.
who refused to bow their knee? Were they punished under the law?
The Greeks were they Gentiles at the time?
Yes, the Greeks would be Gentiles. Yes. Were they punished under the law for not bending a knee?
That was in the Old Testament or in the New Testament?
We're talking about the Roman law that you think Christians were persecuted under.
Because in the New Testament, Christ.
We're
said
talking
that
about
the
we're
law-
talking
the
about
law is
Roman
for
rule. Hold
everyone.
on, hold on. Oh, Maryanne, did you get concussed in the last 30 seconds?
Bro,
We're talking about listen, we are talking about the Roman law that prevented, there are 2 laws. Law 1 said you could not meet in a group without a permit. Law number 2 was you could worship whatever god you wanted. However, you also had to worship the Roman gods. This has nothing to do with Old or New Testament.
Okay. Because.
So my
okay,
question
let me tell you
was, so I'll
something.
go back. So the question on the table is, under this Roman law that you think only persecuted Christians were Greeks who refused to bow a knee to the Roman gods and they still wanted to worship the
Yes,
Greek
it's because
gods.
yes,
Were
it's
they
not
were they
because
punished
they're
under
not-
this law? Were they punished under this
because
law?
they were- yes, they were punished because if they were to bow down to their gods, then they would be breaking the commandments of you shall have no other gods before me.
No. I'm talking about by the Romans, you idiot.
Wow, you're so nice. You're so
I'm
kind.
trying to be nice, but you're shifting. Either you lost track of where the conversation was at,
No,
or
what
you're
trying
trying to
do,
be
if you're trying to
disingenuous
narrate
and
something-
goal shift.
No. What? No. What you're
Okay,
trying to do is
here's
you're
my
trying to
question.
narrate
What are we
something.
talking about right now? What specific law are we talking about right now?
Okay. Can I just go back for a
Hold
second?
on, that's
wanna
not the
backtrack
question. I
something.
want to make
just
sure
want-
you're
no, wait.
tracking.
I wanna
What
backtrack
law
something. I
are
wanna
we
backtrack
talking about
something.
right now?
Let me ask
What
you
law?
something. Let me
What?
ask you
No, we're not
something.
backtracking. What law are we talking about right now? Where's our
If
conversation
you
at right
bow
now?
down, if you bow down to any other gods, whether they're Roman gods, whatever other gods there is,
All right, Maryanne, I've muted you, right? Because you're being ridiculous. We're talking about the Roman persecution of Christians. And I'm going to mute you now. And you're trying to run away from it because you've realized that it wasn't Christian persecution. It was people who had other beliefs being persecuted. Or sorry, not persecuted, prosecuted under the law. There was no persecution. Yes, I agree. The Roman law was unjust. Yes. But Christians were not persecuted under it. They were prosecuted. Do you understand the difference?
I understand what you're trying to say, but I don't agree with you. That's the
And what part?
distinction
What
we
part do you not agree with?
Again, Christians were the ones that are the only ones that worship the one and true God, which is the
That's
God
not
the
true.
Father
Did the
who
Jews?
created.
Hold on. What was? Tell me what the Roman law was. What was the Roman law?
That you have to bow down to their gods.
And
Right?
no. That's not what the Roman law was. The Roman law said you were free to worship whatever gods you wanted. However, you also needed to bend knee to the Roman gods, right? So
Then
as a
that doesn't
Christian,
make any sense logically. What you're
why
saying
doesn't it
makes
make any
absolutely no
sense logically? Why doesn't it make any sense logically?
Because
Where's
if
the
I'm
where's
gonna
the P
bow
and
down
not P?
to, I will tell you right now, if I'm gonna bow down to a God that
Mm-hmm.
is different than my God, then I am inadvertently mocking my own God.
Yeah, I
I'm
get
not
that. That's
gonna
why the law.
worship
Yeah, I
my
agree.
God.
That's why the law is unjust. That is why the Jews had the same thing. If they were to bow their knee to the Roman gods, they would also be mocking their God, right? Greeks who worshipped the Greek gods, if they bow their knee to the Roman gods, they are then mocking their gods, right? So what I'm saying is Christians were not unique in being punished under this law. Other cultures were punished under this same law. It was not just Christians.
Okay, well, let me tell you something. Back in 2017, when the 21 people from Libya that were all persecuted.
All right, I don't care about 2017. We're talking about the first century through the 5th century. That's what we're talking about. You're trying to do a goalpost pivot because you just got cooked. Now let's stay on topic. Lock in.
I will stay on
So-
topic. I'm staying on topic.
So lock
my
in,
question
lock
to
in.
you is, if I'm sorry.
I said lock in. We're not talking about today. I don't care about today.
My question to you is, okay, you know what? Let me just ask you a very simple question. All right. Right now, what is it about Jesus that you don't like?
Yeah, he's a liar and a fraud. He didn't fulfill a single
What-
messianic
what don't
prophecy.
you- Okay, what is it about his personality, about what he did that you don't like?
Oh yeah, it's because it was spread by the sword, and Christianity has destroyed a lot of cultures. Through
It
violence,
was spread
specifically.
by the
Through violence,
sword.
specifically. It was.
How did Jesus use the sword?
Oh, do you want to know how Jesus used the sword? Have you not read where Jesus
Yeah, well, you
commanded
hate
his
Jesus.
disciples
Why
to
do you
buy
hate Jesus?
swords?
Huh?
I don't hate Jesus. I can't hate something I don't believe exists. I don't hate him.
He commanded his disciples to buy swords.
Yeah, have you not read that story?
Jesus, okay, commanded. This is new to me. Let me look at this up because this is what you're. I don't know where are you reading this?
Wait. You have never read this.
In the New Testament, he commanded to buy swords.
Yeah, I'll go find the passage for you. Hold on. I'll go get it for you real quick.
He said to them, "But now the one who has a money bag, let him take it, and likewise a bag. And the one who has no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I tell you, the scripture must be fulfilled in mine." And he was numbered with transgressors, and indeed it was written. Okay, hold on. This is not.
Yeah, so
you have no idea what the. You have no idea though what he was talking about.
I do know what he's talking about.
Passage, you take a script, a verse, and you run with it, just like they
Yeah,
do.
hold on. We'll
every
go.
other
We'll go
news
read it.
station.
Hold on.
And
Hold
you
on.
fit
We'll
it
go.
in your own
Hold on.
narrative. That
We'll
is
go.
so
We'll go read
sad.
it. We'll go read it. So he tells them. He tells them to buy the sword, right? And let's see. It's verses 49 through 50. So we can get this brought up. Because I think this is important because if and Hanji, she can't hear you, but she said that she wasn't aware that they were ever told to buy swords, correct?
Yep.
So here we have them that are buying swords. And what's even more problematic is that not only are they buying swords, right? And let's get this brought
Why
up
were they
on
buying
screen for
swords?
chat.
Why were they buying swords?
Yeah, hold on. We'll read it. We'll read it. Calm down. We'll read it. So he says, he said to them, when I sent you out without a shh, 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 shh. I'm reading scripture. Don't interrupt scripture. He said to them, when I sent you out without a purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything? They said, no, not a thing. He said to them, but now the one who has a purse must take it. Now, context here, what's going on. He's predicting right here. He's predicting his arrest. He knows he's going to be arrested. He knows Peter's going to deny him, right? So that's what he's predicting here. He's predicting, hey, I'm about to be arrested, right? And he says, but now the one who has a purse must take it, and likewise a bag, and the one who has no sword must sell his cloak and buy one. For I tell you, this scripture must be fulfilled in me. And he was counted among the lawless. Now, hold on.
Prophecy.
Well, hold on. Let's finish. Well, hold on. Let's finish. Was it against the law? Was it against the law to carry swords?
Wait. Why did it?
Was it
why did
against
he carry the sword? Wait. You just read your own question. You never fulfilled one messianic prophecy. It was fulfilled to do the prophecy. You just
No. Hold on.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Hold on. If you think me reading something that was written after the fact, something that was written in the mid-2nd century, to make it appear that a prophecy was fulfilled, you are sadly mistaken, little sister. Sadly mistaken. But when he says, so he can be counted among the lawless, when he says, the prophecy says, and he was counted among the lawless, what's the prophecy here?
It was written in Isaiah. That's why.
Yeah, but what is why would swords make him counted among the lawless?
Okay, can I explain that now? Are you?
Yeah, go ahead. Why would having
you're not gonna
swords be
agree with
counted
my
among the lawless?
You're not going to agree with my interpretation.
Well, you
but
see,
this
tell
is
me why he'd be counted amongst the lawless if they had swords.
Jesus instructed his disciples to sell their cloaks and buy swords, according to Luke 22. Okay, is not typically interpreted as a literal call to arms or endorsement of violence. Instead, it's understood as a symbolic preparation for spiritual warfare and the persecution that they would face following.
Oh, that's not what I asked. The question that you were asked is, why would having this sword consider him lawless? Do you think owning swords is against the law?
Did you hear what I just said?
No. He said he's. Yeah. So he has the sword.
Right.
Well, no. So how does something spiritual make you counted amongst the lawless? Go ahead.
Everything that you read in the Bible is spiritual.
I'm talking about being lawless would be a physical thing. How is he going to be counted amongst the lawless?
Because they were transgressors. Transgressions. Sorry. They
and
were
what transgressors? And what transgressors?
Yeah, the transgressors would be carrying swords, so they would be considered a transgressor.
Wait. Who's carrying swords?
The disciples. Didn't the disciples say you were saying the disciples went to go carry the swords?
Yeah, but why would it's not hold on. It wasn't illegal at this time period to carry swords. They were legally allowed to carry swords.
Transgressors are sinners. Transgressors are sinners, not
so hold on. Listen. What does buying swords have anything to do with being counted among the lawless? Connect that to swords and being counted amongst the lawless. Make that make
Okay, the
sense.
swords are often interpreted as symbols of spiritual readiness, including strong
Yeah,
faith,
that's the
love,
Christian
or
apologetic. I
faithfulness.
don't care about the
Okay.
spiritual side of it. The Christian apologetic means nothing to me. The reason why we know that he was going to be counted among the lawless, and we'll get ready to go read in Isaiah where this didn't come true, because it's in Isaiah 52.
You read that it did.
No, it doesn't. We'll go read it next. But when it says, and he was counted among the lawless, because keep in mind, I believe, and the narrative is going to show that this was written much later, right? And so it is the case that he was counted among the lawless. It doesn't make sense for him to say, go by swords so I can be counted amongst the lawless. He's amongst them anyways. They're human. They're transgressors
Exactly.
anyways.
He came just
Well,
for
hold on.
them.
Listen. So it doesn't make
all of us.
sense. Listen. So it doesn't make sense for him to tell them to go by swords so he can be counted amongst the lawless, because he's already amongst them. It doesn't make sense. However, listen. But if it is the case that when we read a few verses down, the thing that would make it lawless, is if he told them to buy swords. And then they had swords. And then we read where Peter breaks the law. Peter breaks the law by striking somebody and cutting his ear off. That is a breaking of the law. Thus, he
And what did
would be
Jesus do?
lawless.
And
Oh, it
did
doesn't
Jesus
matter.
do
Hold
when-
on. It doesn't matter if
Oh,
Jesus
no,
healed
no,
his
it
ear.
matters. It matters. No. Don't skip the parts that you don't like. It matters.
No, I acknowledge. I don't run. Hold on. I acknowledge that Jesus healed his ear, but that's irrelevant, right?
You know,
If
that's
I
very
slap, hold on,
relevant.
listen. If I slap you, and then I
I'll do that shit for
apologize
free.
and do all these things for you, it doesn't erase the fact that the law was broke, that I slapped you. It doesn't erase that
tell you.
away. So listen, hold on.
No.
Even though
on,
Jesus,
explain the part
no,
to me.
you can't, because you're being dumb. Even though Jesus
Oh my God.
healed the man's ear, it doesn't change the fact that Peter broke the law, which is why he was numbered amongst the lawless, which is why this is a call to arms, because Jesus needed them to have swords so the swords could be used so he could be considered amongst the
Okay, let me
lawless.
ask you a question. What would happen if Peter, when he he cut off the Roman guard's ear, and what would happen to Peter if Jesus had not healed him? What would happen to Peter at that very second?
It's irrelevant.
One less
I know
ear.
it's
What
very
the fuck?
relevant. You know why? Because when Jesus healed that man's ear, that Roman guard's ear, and restored it as whole, as if nothing ever happened, it's basically a foreshadowing of what he did on the cross for us.
It's
When he
not.
died on the
You're
cross,
reading that
he
into the
erased
text. Hold on.
completely our
Hold
sin,
on.
and it
Maryanne,
is
this is why you
completely
get Maryanne, this is why you get muted and I hang up on you, because you go speaking that nonsense. Yes, Jesus healed the ear. I acknowledge it. It does not erase the fact that Peter used the swords that Jesus told them to go buy to enact violence, thus making them transgressors of the law. It still doesn't erase the fact that they broke the law and Jesus was with them. Now, if we go
That's
to
exactly
Isaiah,
right. We broke the law. We broke the law. Me, you, and all of Adam.
it's
We
not
broke
about
the law,
us.
and
Peter
he came
broke the
and
law.
restored it.
Peter broke
Peter
the
broke
law.
and Jesus restored it. We sinned, we ate from the apple, we sinned. We're looking for our own egocentric self, and he came and he took it on himself and restored it. as
He
whole.
didn't.
Same
He
idea.
didn't.
Same
He
idea.
didn't.
That's how loving he is, because he loves you and he loves everyone.
He doesn't. That's irrelevant.
He
It's
does.
Stockholm syndrome.
That's
Maryanne,
exactly-
Maryanne,
open your
you
heart, man.
suffer.
Open your heart.
Hold on, Maryanne. Hold on a minute. Priesta Doug, thank you so much for the subscription. I appreciate it. And Christians, chat on both. This is why Christianity is Stockholm syndrome. This is why Christianity is Stockholm syndrome. So let's go over some things here
Cyber.
real quick.
I thought the sword was spiritual.
Right. So let's cover some things here. She tried to bring up the sacred flame, and we debunked it, and she wanted to run as far away from the
Really?
sacred flame as she could, right?
Wow.
Do you want me
Wow.
to do you want me to show the video? Did you even watch the video I sent you?
Cyber, I watched everything. Listen, this is going to be my last time on this live because honestly, I'm trying with you,
Thanks,
but you're
Zeus,
just
for
not
that.
willing. You're just not willing to accept his love. I don't know why, but he did.
Oh,
He
because
loves
he's
you.
a liar and a fraud. He's a liar and
He loves
fraud.
you. And you know
Hey,
what? Even if you tell him he's a liar, he still loves you. He loves you.
Say his
I'm sorry.
name
I'm
and
sorry. This is
he
I'm not gonna talk to you again because
appears.
I'm
I
trying. My
believe
heart
in
is
Joe
breaking.
Believe in Joe
I
Hendry.
can't.
Hendry.
I can't.
I
I
believe in Joe
believe in Joe
Hendry.
Hendry.
Love and
You love
London
the
and
run.
Paris and
Paris and
Tokyo.
Tokyo.
oh man.
By
Oh
Zeus, that woman is
man.
insufferable. I feel bad for her husband or boyfriend if she even has one.
I do too. Can you bring whoever's on TikTok? Can you bring them up? If they're not a friendly, if they're a
Oh,
friendly,
no
who is
one.
it? Is there
No one on
nobody
my
there?
end unless it's a private account. Right, Mr. Fortune? But he loves you. He loves you. So aggressive with it. Like, girl, just buy a rose. They sell them on the TikTok shop. You need it.
Right. No, and I had a complete back and forth. She was crashing out. You can go back a few YouTube chats later. She was crashing out in the YouTube chat, just messaging me frantically all these verses. And no, I didn't read all of them. She didn't even want to go into the ones she brought up. And
Exactly.
we got
Zamari made a very valid point, Cyber. Worshipping a man is idolatry according to scripture. Maybe she should read her book better.
right. We're bringing up Ethan, and while we're waiting, keep tapping that screen, sharing the live. Over on YouTube, if you do like the debates, go ahead and give me a subscription. If you want to join the community, send a membership. If you send a membership, I'll be able to go look and see who the members are over on YouTube, and I will send you an invite to my Discord. I mean, go ahead, go look in the description, go look at my link tree on TikTok, and join the Deconstruction Junction. And let me do some checks. I'm trying to get better at this. And I get in these debates, and when I get in these, I don't pay attention to my chat. And so sometimes I lose track of if anybody paid any super chats. And I can those only stay up for a small amount of time. So I do want to make sure if there's any that I miss, and there are not. So moving on to the next guest. Go ahead, Hanji.
All right, Ethan, can we have your age for TikTok TOS, please?
Yeah, 22.
And Double Donkey, thank you for the subscription.
Hey, win double donkey. And are you a believer in the Christian God or Jesus?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
Okay, we believe Jesus was a liar and a fraud, and now he's nothing but a carcass. Can you prove
Yeah.
us wrong?
Yeah. I had a few quick questions before we end up starting up the actual debate portion of this, if you guys don't mind. I haven't done one of these before on TikTok. So I just have a few questions here first, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Yep.
So first thing was I saw you use the mute button in there. What's the rule with that? How do I not get muted in this?
All
'Cause I want
right,
to make sure it just
so-
kind of stays super civil.
Yeah. So generally, the only time you're gonna get usually I'm gonna let you say what you gotta say. I really try not to interrupt. But what I require is answers to the question, right?
Yeah.
So if I do interrupt you, generally it's because either the question isn't being answered, or you're doing like a pivot shift or something, or you're saying something that I'm like, I need clarification on this or something else, just so I stay caught up with you. Also, are you familiar with what gish galloping is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, don't gish gallop. Make a point, and let's stick on that point.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
Cool. And then the other thing too was I know it's TikTok stuff. I've seen some of this stuff on the internet before. So I know it gets into the blood sports kind of stuff. I would prefer a more civil kind of conversation, but I don't know how your audience is if you guys are trying to make it a little bit more fun,
Look,
throwing out the names and
I'll
stuff. I get it. I've been there. It's fun when I do it with my
look.
friends, but
I'll
I'd
I'll
rather
be
keep it civil if
honest.
we can.
Yeah, so I'll be honest. I'll say this to everybody. Everybody knows this down here is toxic sludge. It's all toxic sludge.
That's the pits
Over
of Tartarus. Don't pay attention to that.
over on YouTube, that chat over on YouTube, it's toxic sludge, right? I don't pay attention to it. Don't pay attention to it. You and I are having a conversation. We're not having the conversation with chat. Every now and then, something will come up and I might catch it in chat. And if it's relevant to what we're talking about,
Oh no, I meant you and me. Because like I know there's some fireworks going off with you and whoever the chick was last right before me. I wanted to have
oh,
like a more civil chat conversation where we disagree here.
oh no
I
no
know
no
it can
no.
get into the fireworks more though.
So Maryanne is somebody that I have talked with. Hanji, it's been like 5 or 6 times we've talked with Maryanne.
I swear
And
she has a degradation kink.
and Maryanne is one of those people that is very set in her faith. And even when you show her the contradiction and stuff, instead of her going, oh, I see that all of a sudden, oh, but it's spiritual. She then takes it
Yeah, I
from
saw that
where
last
she
part.
thought it was going to be. Yeah, and you saw how she was doing that.
I would have a little bit of a different response, but I see what she meant. She had to flesh that out more than just that, though, when she said that.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
like,
know her well enough to say anything else. I probably shouldn't even said that.
yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
Okay.
But anyways,
Cool.
yep.
So to get into it, I don't really want to take a historical evidence route on this. If that is
Okay.
fine, you're probably going to be
Yeah,
dealing
that's
with
fine.
mostly evidentialists for this. But I feel like if I can just prove that the Christian God is true, then your claim up there is necessarily false. Is that fair?
Well, so this isn't the live for the Christian God. We can do that tomorrow. This live is about Jesus was a liar and a fraud.
Yeah, but if the Christian God is true and Jesus is God and God can't lie, then necessarily your claim would have to be false. So I would just have to prove that, and then it's just a necessary entailment.
Well, what if I can show you a scripture where God admits that he does lie?
Sure, go on.
Yeah, let me go find it real quick. And can you give me the definition of what a delusion is?
Definition of a delusion?
Yeah, what's a delusion?
Something that isn't true that you believe that's probably also incoherent with anything else you believe.
Yeah.
Maybe absent of actual sense experience, maybe.
Yeah, so let me find this scripture real fast. And if God was to send delusions to people, that would be God sending them lies, correct?
Would that be God sending them lies? Let's go to the scripture and I'll see if I think that makes sense. I would have to know what delusion means a little bit more specifically in this case. Or we
Yeah,
could just have an agreed upon idea of what delusion means before we go to that.
Well, I would agree
'Cause
with you.
know
I
if
think
gave
a delusion.
I don't know if I gave a clear idea, so I'd rather you give me a clear
I
option
think
here.
I think a delusion is when we believe in something that is demonstrably false, and we
Okay.
believe it to be true. I think that's what a
Sure.
delusion is. So it's similar to what you gave. So where we're going to go, and I'll have it up here on the screen. So where we're going to go is to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and verses 7 through 12. And where we get here
Okay.
now, it is the case that these people are being horrible. They're wicked. They're wicked people. And starting in verse 7, for the mysteries of the lawlessness is already at work, but only until the one who now restrains it is removed, and then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will destroy with the breath of his mouth, annihilating him by manifesting of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is apparent in the working of Satan, who uses all power, signs, lying wonders, and every kind of wicked deception for those who are perishing, because, and now this is the caveat, this is the important thing, because they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. Right? So that's essentially what they're doing. They're refusing to love the truth and be saved. They don't want that. For this reason, again, because they are refusing to love the truth and be saved, God sends them a powerful delusion, leading them to believe what is false. So because they are refusing to love the truth and be saved, he's sending them this delusion so they think they're correct in thinking this. Why? So that all who have not believed in the truth but took pleasure in unrighteousness will be condemned. He wants to make sure that these people are condemned. That he essentially, this is God saying.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Would you say that's in line with like the hardening of Pharaoh's heart that they talk about in Exodus, or would you say they're probably talking about the same thing? That's what it seems like to me. I don't remember that verse much.
No. The difference is so if you go back to Exodus and you read, for the first few plagues, Pharaoh refuses to let the people go. It mentions Pharaoh hardened his own heart, right? Because these were the things that his magi were able to perform. He was able to do these same things. So he's like, my guys can do this. My gods can do this. So he hardened his own heart. But when Pharaoh tried to do what was right and send the people and let them go, that's when God said, nuh-uh. And God even makes it clear before he even goes. He tells Moses, these 10 plagues must come to pass. God tells Moses, I need these to come to pass because it's how he's going to show his power over the Egyptian gods. In fact, if you remember, right before the crossing of the Red Sea, I'm going to reset my goal real quick. Before the crossing of the Red Sea, God essentially shows up to Moses and says, hey, you better start doing whatever you can. Put your rod out, put your staff out. This sea needs to be crossed because Pharaoh, I just hardened his heart again, and he's coming to get you now. And I did this because I want to show my might for all of Egypt to see, for all the world to see. Because keep in mind, the idea of the narrative at the time is that Egypt was the world power. And so if Yahweh can crush the gods of the world superpower, it's just God showing his might to the entirety of the known world at the time. So I don't think this is analogous to that. Pharaoh tried to do what was right, but God wanted his glory to be shown. These are cases where the people are absolutely refusing to do what's good. They don't even want to do what's good. And God is like, good, you guys don't want to do, I'm going to make sure you're condemned. So I'm going to lie to you and make you think that what you're doing is right. You're going to think you're in the right because I want you condemned. God has already passed judgment on them and is forcing them. He's taken away their free will to believe, to come to a realization that they're wrong.
Okay. So if I was to respond to this first, I think the main thing that I'm going to go with is that my soteriology is just going to be the general doctrine of theosis. And so with that, it's about churning your own will towards or away from God. And you're going to get either of those, whichever direction you end up heading. And God is willing to allow either of those. So if these people are already willing to turn their will away from God, which in the Christian worldview, if this is an internal critique,
yeah, hold on real quick. Real quick. Adele Reader, thank you for the $20 over on YouTube. Didn't subscribe to you fast enough, but I've been binging, and I'm a fan. Glad to catch a live. Keep it up, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. All right, go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries. I'm trying to remember where I was there. Do you?
I'm sorry. Whenever I get something that is $10, if it's $10 or more,
no worries.
Those I'm gonna call out immediately because
I would too,
they
if I was
deserve
running
it.
Alive. I get it. Yeah. So if these people are in delusion, we're already considering that a turning away from God. Like turning away from God is a delusion itself, and God's going to give you whatever you end up wanting to have. And so if you're already wanting the delusion, if this is an internal critique, then we're going to say, yeah, God's going to give you delusion if that's what you want.
Yeah, but the issue that I would have,
in a very,
though,
very
is
different sense, if you wanted to call it that.
Well, I would still classify it as a lie because God is causing them to believe that what they're doing is the right thing to do. They no longer realize that they're in the wrong, right? Because if and let me go double check it, because it mentions they refuse to love the truth and so be safe. So they're aware of the truth, right? They're aware of it, right? And they are just flat out denying it, right? So I wouldn't say
that
that
be
they're
delusion then already itself?
no. Because a delusion is when you think you're in the right. They know they're wrong. They just want to deny it. They know they're in the
Well,
wrong.
yeah, I see what you mean. So when they're talking about truth in that passage, they're talking about like capital truths that like the Christian God is the true faith is what the scripture is referencing there. But there's other little truths that they believe in that aren't true, like their pleasure trumps their submission to God, and so they're going to believe that still. Like they believe they're doing something that is coherent, or else they wouldn't be doing that anyways. Like that's just kind of
Well,
part of how
no,
the heart works.
those would be the delusions that God sends. God would send those delusions. Like for example, when I was growing up, I was a little bit rebellious, right? I'll admit it. When I was younger, so I was young when
You were a
Pokemon
little shit.
first came out. Yeah, I was a little shit. And and at Walgreens, they used to do these magazines where they'd put Pokemon cards, like a special Pokemon card inside of it. Walgreens does not have the greatest security. So I used to hide it in such a way where I could open up the back, slide the Pokemon card out, put the magazine back, and walk out, right? Under no circumstances did I ever think I was in the right. Okay, I was a little shit. Now, it got to a point where I got so comfortable doing that I decided to try it at Walmart. And long story short, I ended up with 2 years probation for a $6 pack of Pokemon cards. I knew I was wrong, right? Under
Did you get
no
any level X's though?
Huh?
Did you get any level X's though?
So this was back in the late 90s, early 2000s, so those did not exist.
I
Those
wouldn't know
did
that.
not
I
exist.
don't know anything about Pokemon. I just had to say
Yeah,
something.
no, you're fine. You're fine. Right. So I knew I was wrong, right? I knew
Yeah.
I was wrong and I got comfortable. And then I got caught and then I never stole another Pokemon card after that. But I knew I was wrong, right? So by me doing this, I wasn't in any kind of delusions. I knew I was wrong. So I wasn't under a delusion thinking that what I'm doing is good or right. I wasn't under a delusion.
Yeah.
I knew I was wrong. Now, had God been like, you know what? I want you to keep stealing those Pokemon cards. You know you're wrong, but I want you to keep doing it. He would have changed it so that I would have thought that I was in the right, right? As soon as I got off my probation, I would have been like, no, I deserve these. God would have given me the justification to think what I was doing was right, and
Yeah, I see your point.
yeah. So that's why I think the difference would be these guys knew they were
Okay.
wrong. It states as much. They knew they were wrong, and I think that makes it worse. I think it makes
Yeah.
it worse when you know you're wrong and you completely reject it. And I think
Yeah, I
because they
agree
were
that makes it
rejecting,
worse.
yep. And I think because
Sorry.
they were refusing to love, because they're straight up refusing, God says, "Fine, I'm going to make sure you are condemned."
Okay, so I think the big thing I would say, and if I was to take a different interpretation, because I'm in no way a biblical scholar at all, but I think another way that you could look at it too is that rejecting God, just the ontology of rejecting God, is going to be a rejection of truth in the Christian worldview, since God is truth incarnate. Like that's part of the nature of God. So I think that's another way that they could be looking at it in the passage that could also at least be coherent with the Christian faith and holistic interpretation of the Bible.
Well, I think it'd be a
I don't know how
case
long you want
then.
to stay on. I don't know how long you want to stay on this topic specifically. I had another route I wanted to go down.
Oh yeah, if
We
you
can
want
go
to
on
go
this
a
for a little
different
bit
route,
longer if
yeah,
you want, but for
we
somewhere
can go
else.
down a different route if you. Hey, we can go down a different route if you want. I'm okay with that. And real quick,
Yeah,
so
sounds good.
I
Yeah,
do have a
respond to that for sure.
policy. Yeah, I do have a policy. So I do have a few
Mhm.
people waiting on Video Ninja. So this doesn't mean we end now, but what this does mean is we introduce a 15-minute timer. So we got 15
Sure.
minutes.
Perfect. Sounds good. So I'm gonna go. Let's just. I'm just gonna inquire on your worldview here for a second as an atheist and show you that that doesn't make sense as a coherent worldview itself, and that there's no other coherent worldview other than Christianity. So it's just gonna be a reductio argument. But so with your worldview itself, would you consider yourself a materialist, atheist?
Sure. Well, before you say materialist, what do you mean by materialist? That's why you use the definition. I just want to make sure I'm using fitting within your definition.
Everything in the world is material. Everything going on right now is just atoms moving around.
Yeah.
You would take that position. Okay. And how do you gain knowledge in your position? So, like, what's your epistemology?
Phenomenal conservatism.
Phenomenal conservatism. Okay, interesting. So if you take that position, you'd consider yourself at least some kind of empiricist then.
Yeah.
That would be phenomenal. Okay, cool. So in the peripatetic axiom itself, it doesn't actually justify gaining knowledge from sense data because that axiom itself is not in sense data. So it's a contradictory epistemology to start off with off the bat.
No, because it'd be all things considered. So the idea of phenomenal conservatism is the idea, and how you doing, Level Devil? The idea is that I am able to use my senses, all things considered, right? So I can trust myself, my ability to learn, my ability to come to understandings, my ability to reason. I can trust my seem real until I'm presented with a defeater, right?
So why
and
can you do that? That sounds like you're just kind of granting that. Can you go into
Yeah,
why that makes sense?
Oh yeah, I'm just justified in my belief, right? Because my
You just
senses
are?
work. Yeah, my senses work. My senses have never failed me, and so since my senses have never failed me, I'm justified in having this belief. Now, if there's a case where you can give me a defeater where my senses have failed me, then you would show me that I'm not justified in having this belief.
Yeah, I'll just show you kind of the main contradiction that I'm going to find in there. If you believe in any kind of morality, that is something that is not material. So that would be a contradiction in that worldview itself.
Oh yeah, so my view on morality, so if it is the case, whereas like morality, you're right, it's not a thing. What is a thing though is people owning other people. That's a thing. Somebody taking a fist and hitting a fist to somebody else. That is a physical thing, right? So these things, the acts themselves, are the things that I would be against, right? And
Yeah, but
so
they're not
those are where the
objectively
issues
wrong,
come
right?
in. Yeah, I would ground those in empathy.
Is that objectively wrong then, if you're not
Yeah,
being
so
empathetic?
Yeah, so empathy is the ability to look at both sides of an argument, and whenever we have any kind of dialectic, we must intrinsically, for being rational, listen to both sides of the argument. And if we are unwilling to listen to the other side of the argument, we are acting irrational, thus we are wrong. And so let's say we're bringing up a case like slavery, right? If we're talking about slavery, you and I are talking about it, but I can't just look at it. And for this argument, because I'm the host here, I'll put myself in the pro-slave position, right? And
Sure.
let's say I am going to enslave Hanji's Greek. We're going to go enslave the Greeks, right? You oppose it, I'm for it, and you're not Greek. Let's say you are. We're going to say you're an Ethanist, wherever the land of Ethan is, and. So
Base.
we're nowhere near Greece, but we're going to go and enslave Hanji and the Greeks. Now, not only do I have to listen to your argument, but utilizing empathy, I have to also utilize the empathy and listen to the arguments of the Greeks by putting myself in their positions, and we can do this to everybody and come to the realization that nobody wants to be enslaved. Nobody wants it. Thus, it would be empathy kicks in, the rationality kicks in. Enslaving her, the Greeks, would be wrong. If I chose to continue moving forward, I ignored an entire side of an argument, I am wrong. Now,
Wait,
let's take
wait,
another.
are you wrong
go ahead.
epistemically, or are you wrong epistemically there, or are you wrong morally?
Am I wrong
Are
epistemically?
you wrong in the sense that like a bishop can move straight on a chessboard, or are you wrong in the sense that murder is wrong?
Oh yeah, it'd be epistemically. That's where the phenomenal
Okay.
that's where phenomenal conservatism would kick in, and my seemings would be it is wrong. Don't do it epistemically through phenomenal conservatism because I can reason that. I can trust myself. I'm justified in my reasoning. Now, let's say it's something different. Let's go ahead and take let's say we're talking about vaccines, right? We can talk about vaccines again, all things considered, and let's say I'm going to get my child let's take the other stance. Let's say you are pro-vax, I'm anti-vax. Again, I'll take the thing on here. And you are presenting, and I'm trying to look at and I'm trying to employ that empathy again, all things considered. I'm like, but my child is going to they're going to suffer while they are getting that shot, right? But then you present well, yeah, but it's the polio shot. Do you want them to get polio? Well, all things considered, and putting myself into my child's position, well, I don't want polio. I don't know anybody else who wants polio. We go research what polio has done, and we go, yeah, polio bad epistemically. And through listening to your argument, I get my child vaccinated. Now, if I ignore the data and stuff, I ignore the whole side of the argument, and I still choose not to do that, I am wrong.
Okay. So when you say you're wrong epistemically, then in that sense, you can't actually be wrong morally in your worldview. Then, like if you're going to be a phenomenological conservative, if I ended up using a shotgun and just blasting myself, blood all over the walls, I spill coffee on the wall. That's just like different molecules on the wall. There's nothing actually wrong with that. But we can take that to a farther extent that's going to be even more dangerous for your worldview and say, if you're only wrong epistemically, that just means that chemicals in your brain said icky, but like there's nothing actually wrong with me just believing in something not true. So like the whole point of that is to say that this debate is literally meaningless if you're a phenomenological conservative in that sense, except for the fact that you just think it's icky to say that, right?
Yeah, that's all. That's literally that's all morals are. Like, it's icky. It makes me feel icky, and I don't want to live in a society where it's icky, right? But again, I'm
So in your worldview, this
justified.
debate's
Hold on, but I
meaningless.
am justified. I'm justified in feeling icky. My justification is still justified, right? And
Why?
thus I'd still be justified in viewing that your views of doing this is wrong.
Why are you justified in that?
Oh yeah, because it would be the case. Give me the exact scenario again, real quick. Just make sure I want to use the exact same scenario you're using.
I'll just say that my position is completely ridiculous and I believe it. And your worldview says that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it and that this debate is literally meaningless if you're a phenomenological conservative, besides the fact that you would prefer your position no different than you preferring pineapple on pizza to not. Like there's no moral weight
Those
in the debate
yeah,
itself.
but those are but that is that's just a category error. When we're talking about pineapple on pizza, that's not a moral claim. There's no morality to what's on the
Well, it's
pizza.
an internal
Whether or
debate
not
'cause
we
you don't believe in
have
morals.
whether or not we have this debate is irrelevant, right? But once it comes to affecting other people, and once it comes into that, then I would be justified in saying don't harm people.
Well, that's according to you, though, as a phenomenological conservative. That's not an objective claim that you can make since you're a phenomenological conservative.
It is. You just need to give me the defeater. What's the defeater for it?
Because your brainwaves don't trump my brainwaves in phenomenological conservatism. If my brainwaves disagree with yours, if that's all that's going on, that is just all that's going on. There's no actual claims being made. Like you actually fall
there are. Hold on.
necessarily
What-
into
what-
determinism there.
Hold on. What did I say? So when I said we're talking about the morals themselves, oh, hold up. Gotta fix
No
this
worries.
puzzle piece. Yeah, I gotta do the puzzle piece. So yeah, what I'm saying though is that when it comes to us just talking about it, that's just us talking about it. Once it comes to enact it, right? And all things considered, listening to the argument of the person that you're doing, if you're not going to employ empathy, if you're not employing empathy, then you're just wrong. If you're going to go commit suicide, if that's what you're going to do, and you're just doing it on your own, you're not taking if you're not listening to the argument, right? Because that's ultimately what the empathy is listening to the argument of the other side. If you're not listening to the other side, if you're not taking into consideration how your friends, your family, all these other people, society is going to feel about you doing that, then you're not listening to an argument. You are acting irrational. Thus, you're wrong.
But there's nothing morally wrong with acting irrational, right? Just epistemically.
Huh?
There's nothing morally wrong with acting irrational, just epistemically, right?
Yes, you'd be ignoring. Oh, there's nothing wrong with acting irrational.
Only epistemically wrong, not morally wrong, in your worldview.
Well, yeah, I would just say that once you go to actually make that move, yeah, it would be epistemically, but my knowledge would say it's also morally wrong. Because my
Okay.
morals, in that case, you would still be wrong. Yes, because
Okay,
my
so
knowledge, the knowledge would justify that it's wrong. And
Okay.
real quick,
How much? Yeah, no worries.
we've got three minutes.
I was just gonna
and
ask that. Perfect.
yeah, holy fuck. I can't pronounce your name. I apologize. Oh, by the way, I can't read that, but thank you for the 30 subscriptions. Everybody who got those subscriptions, I want to see like 5 minutes of W's in both chats, like 5 minutes of W's, and we'll add an extra minute for that.
Thanks. Okay, so back to this. As a phenomenological conservative, how are you going to give a justification for the rules of logic themselves? Because it's not a physical thing, so I don't know how you're going to believe in something like rules of logic.
Oh yeah, the rules of logic are just how we explain the world around us. I don't believe like the rules of logic like actually exist. They're just how we explain the world around us. And again, so through the epistemology of that, I can see that like the 3 classical laws of logic seem to always apply. Now there could be a case, like for example, when we get into quantum mechanics, there's some questions about classical laws of logic when it comes to law of excluded middle when it comes to quantum mechanics. There's some question there.
Okay.
Does the law of
Okay.
excluded
Okay.
middle actually occur?
Okay, so just to like yes or no, does the law of non-contradiction actually exist?
Does it actually? No. Laws of logic don't actually exist. They're just how we exhibit things. And in fact, laws of logic, because you've been talking, I'm sure you've read a lot of philosophers. You would agree
Yeah,
with
sure.
me that there's a lot of philosophers, and there's like if you get into philosophy, there's a bunch of different branches of philosophy that you go on. Where some philosophers would say like the law of non-contradiction. There are some cases, right, in which the law of non-contradiction. Now, I don't read into these, right? So don't ask me to go too deep into them. I'm not familiar
worries.
with these too well. But there are some philosophers who are well-known, renowned philosophers who would look you dead in the face and say, "Yeah, law of non-contradiction doesn't exist. Here's why," and they'd give you their syllogism for why
Well,
it
that's
doesn't.
yeah. I know they wouldn't. That is an appeal to authority fallacy, and two, the other problem with that is that is self-contradictory in nature because they're now using the law of non-contradiction itself to tell me why the law of non-contradiction doesn't exist. But if rules of logic don't exist itself, then there's no point in debate because I am now allowed to contradict epistemically. Like if you're going to have an epistemic belief, then you have to use the laws of logic.
Hold on. So we're just talking but keep in mind we're talking about phenomenal conservatism, right? So it
Yes.
seems to me, right, that the laws of logic always work, right? So I'm not against the laws of logic. I believe the laws of logic are a thing. Do they actually exist? No, but the thing that you're going to run into, if you think do you think the laws of logic actually exist?
They necessarily have to exist if a God exists. Actually, to make knowledge claims at all, they necessarily have to exist. But I'm going
Okay,
to ground them
so
in God.
if the laws of logic necessarily have to exist, meaning they could be no other way, did God create the laws of logic, or is God bound by the laws of logic?
It is of his
'Cause-
nature. So the Euthyphro dilemma wouldn't work here because it's a false dichotomy. It's going to be of his nature. He's not the arbiter or the upholder of it.
Well, so when you say of his nature, can you explain what that means real quick? We're down to our last minute.
Yeah, so I'm going to take the Eastern view on the what's the word, ontology of God. So what I'm going to say there is that the essence energy distinction is going to apply to God. The Western view is not going to do that. I don't know if you're familiar with those two ideas. Are you?
A little bit.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, well, if I take the essence energy distinction, then you know that I can definitely make that claim.
Well, yeah, but the issue that you're going to run into, though, right, is that if it's his nature, and he can't do anything outside of his nature, you just have to concede that he's not all powerful, because being all powerful would imply that you don't have any constraints, and his nature would then entail a constraint. So even if he wanted to do something, he couldn't do it. Thus, he's not all powerful. You'd have to concede to that.
Yeah, so what I would say to something like that is that we're going to say that God that can do everything that is logical. Like it would be a logical impossibility and
Oh,
absurdity
no,
to
no,
say
I'm
that
not-
God
I'm not
could make
talking
a
about-
circle square.
Yeah. I'm not saying
he's
that
down
I'm not saying that he couldn't, right? I'm not saying that. Obviously he would. Right, but it is the case, though, that things that are outside his nature, which you had mentioned earlier, the outside his nature would be, say, lying, but we clearly showed where there is a case where he did lie.
Yeah, well, what we would say there is that if it's something outside of his nature, it's something that God can do. He has the ability to do it. But we're also going to say that God isn't going to do it because he isn't going to shift from his nature. And we disagreed at the end.
Well,
on the,
hold on then,
verse
because
there,
now
I'm
we're
taking a
shifting.
different view of
But
truth.
well, and that's fine. But now we're shifting, though, because now you're saying that he was bound by the nature, but now you're saying he just wouldn't do it. So the question is, and I think this is going to wrap it up. I appreciate the conversation.
I don't think I said
Come
he was
back
bound,
up.
but yeah, no worries. Is there a chance I can make a little closing statement and you just respond to it and I leave? Is that fine? Just like 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah, go ahead.
Tread
Perfect.
lightly.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh, why they always think you're gonna get a closing statement? Oh man. So real quick, I don't know if and Adele, thank you so much for joining the membership over on YouTube. Thank you so much. And we got another $5 super chat from Adele. P.S. I see user Rock Hard for Doug also sent a super chat. Obviously a Justin fan. We are married and fast becoming also equal level cyber fans. Oh, let me go read that. Want to make sure we're getting out the super chats. And yes, we are all rock hard for Doug. Absolutely. And in fact, I'll show you guys here something in just a moment. Okay, so rock hard for Doug. I can't believe I just discovered you, man. Thank you. Thank you, Rock Hard for Doug, for that $5 super chat. Also, another $5 super chat from Adele. Laughing my ass off. Good luck enslaving Hanji. So for those who are here, I want to see ones in both chats. Ones in both chats. If you've ever heard Justin bring up Rocky. Ones in the chat, and I want to see make sure we have, I want to see if I see Adele and Rock Hard for Doug putting these ones in that chat. If you've ever heard Justin mention Rocky. So it turns out that I am actually the holder of Rocky. This is Rocky. This is the son of Doug and Sharon Stone. This is the very first rock apostle. This is the rock that Doug threw. For those who didn't know, the story behind goes is that Doug bestowed his gospel upon his only rock-bottom son, and then he threw him, and he landed on the it's the rock apostle, and he landed on the road to Damascus. Now, when Paul and Luke were riding through with their Christians in tow, Paul's horse started to act up, and Paul fell off his horse. And if you wouldn't know it, he landed and hit his head right here and got concussed. And through divine concussment, Rocky started to impart the gospel of Doug to Paul. But the Christians saw this happening, and they were starting to spout off a bunch of nonsense. And as Luke was trying to help Paul up, Luke happened to be standing with the sun behind him. Thus, hence why when you see the early pictures of Jesus, you see the disc around him. Paul thought Luke was Jesus. And now we got a bastardized rendition of the Gospel of Doug through the New Testament. And we got a $20 super chat from Rock Hard for Doug. Oh my God, I had no idea that you were the prophet of Rocky. Yes, I am the prophet of Rocky. I found Rocky through a toe stubment. Doug guided me to Rocky through stubbing my pinky toe. And so now we've got Rocky, the rock apostleship of Doug, the Church of Doug continues to grow. But I definitely appreciate that. And real quick, if Level Devil is still here, if Level Devil or if Hasselblad are here, if they could leave comments over in TikTok, and if you want to hop over to the YouTube, leave comments there. If you're interested in flat earth debates, give Level Devil a follow. He commented a while back up in chat. Give him a follow. He's involved in the flat earth debates, and I don't know if Hasselblad is here, but if Hasselblad is here, give Hasselblad a follow as well. They are phenomenal in the flat earth debates. They are crushing flurfers every day. And with that said, we will move on to our next guest. This time we're going to go over to Video Ninja, and let me make sure we see who is here first, so I can make sure we bring them back up in the proper order. And we are
New
going...
goal. Dagda just hit your goal.
Dagda, thank you so much. I will get that reset here in just a minute. So let's leave some massive W's for Dagda. Let's leave some massive W's for Rock Hard for Doug. And another $2 super chat from Adele. Hanji, is that you?
It is me, Yasu Adele. I love you.
And also, if you do want to support Hanji as well, Hanji does, you can't see it on YouTube, unfortunately. Hanji, if you want to hop over there and leave your Cash App and stuff over there, you can. But her stuff's in her links as well. And we're going to go ahead and get Christian brought on over. Are you there, Christian? Christian, you are live and on the air. All right, we will move on. We are going to bring up Bobby. Damn it, Bobby. Oh, almost hung up on him. How you doing, Bobby?
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. How old are you?
I am 15.
Oh, yeah, get out of here, you fetus. Stay out of my life. Fetuses, it's 18 or older. Look, if your umbilical cord has not been severed for at least 18 years, don't get on the chat. I'm not interested. Even if this ends up going to only YouTube, I'm still not talking to minors. It's goofy. It's creepy. Leave that up to your priests. And Rock Hard for Doug, another $2 super chat. We love Hanji. All right. We're going to try Christian again. Christian came back up. We'll try Christian one more time. How you doing, Christian?
I'm doing well.
Yep, and how old are you?
I'm 19.
All right, and are you a Christian?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said, are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
All right. I am a firm believer that Jesus was a liar and a fraud, that the crucifixion was for nothing. It wasn't needed. Give me an argument. Let's go. What do you got?
Okay, so who do you believe Jesus was?
I believe that, well, it doesn't matter who I believe. I believe Jesus never existed.
Okay,
I'm a mythicist.
So then why in your YouTube does it say that...
Says now he's nothing but a carcass? Are you there?
Yeah, sorry, it keeps disconnecting when I leave the...
Oh,
when I
yeah.
go to YouTube.
Why does it say now he's nothing but a carcass?
If he would never existed.
Because it's provocative. It gets the people going.
Right, but then that is also a lie. I'm just saying, that's kind of interesting. But anyways,
Well, it's also taking a look at things from your worldview, right? So I believe Jesus was a liar and a fraud. Now he's nothing but a carcass. So for this argument, I'll say that I do believe he existed. At best, he was a carpenter who was possibly an apocalyptic preacher.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll go with, even if the Bible was a fantasy, even if it was fictional, we'll say that Jesus was just the character of that, right?
Okay, yeah.
So Jesus said, am I allowed to say S-E-X?
Whenever it comes to stuff like that, say something that rhymes with it. So like Smex is okay. It's for TikTok. It's not for YouTube. It's for TikTok. So say things like Smex.
Okay. So when Jesus says, do not have schmecks before marriage, or whenever it says that in the Bible, do you believe that that is a morally correct thing, usually?
I don't care what people do as long as they're consenting and they're adults. I don't care.
Right. So people who have schmecks before marriage, right, it doesn't allow them to have that relationship that allows them to want to be together as much.
Why do they need to have that? Why do they need to have that relationship?
Okay, so do you think that people who love each other and they wouldn't necessarily love each other just because they're married, but if they are in that relationship where they have devoted their lives to each other, do you think that they would be more likely to keep a child or abort a child than someone who was not married and not in a good relationship?
Oh man, chat. He doesn't know. He's not aware. I'm all. Oh man, you're about to get your little 19-year-old heart broken. I say delete the fetuses. I think God even says delete the fetuses.
Yeah, I know you. Pretty sure we talked about that one last time.
Oh, were you? So you agree with me then that God created the female body in such a way that it is going to delete more fetuses than we as humans, than women, let's just say all the women in the world, could ever electively choose to do. God has created the female body in such a way that it's just going to do it spontaneously.
Do what? Oh, kill the children? Or...
Yeah, God created the female body in such a way that it's just going to spontaneously abort children. the fetuses.
It's called miscarriage, child.
Yeah, miscarriage.
Oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. So that's not exactly the plan. Things can go wrong, but that doesn't, just because that happens doesn't mean that's what God created them to do.
Does God ever create things to go again? Let me rephrase that. Does God create things to do things that he doesn't want them to do? Like, for example, God gave us free will. He wanted us to execute his free will. So with him wanting us to execute his free will, partaking of the fruit was probably inevitable. I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. What I would have an issue with is that him creating the female body in such a way that it aborts fetuses. If he wanted us to care about the fetuses, he should care about the fetuses enough to where he didn't create the female body to randomly abort them.
Well, for one, sin corrupted the world. Okay, I'll talk about it spiritually first. I'll say sin corrupted the world, and Eve gave birth to two perfectly healthy boys in the beginning, which was Cain and Abel.
This better tie into abortions.
And then, well, yes, because she gave birth to two healthy boys before sin. So clearly, God created people healthy, and then
Cain and Abel were after
afterwards,
sin.
it went into everything.
Yeah,
bad.
Cain and Abel weren't born in the garden.
Yes, but they were born to two people who had done good things.
Nope.
And born by most pure, I guess, pure human, I suppose.
No, Adam and Eve had already sinned.
All right, that's true. All right, we can move on then. I agree with you on that one. All right, so then we'll move on to the next moral one that I have is love your neighbor as thyself. So, and it doesn't mean love that I feel like sometimes the LGBTQ people say is, love being schmecks or whatever like that. But love being, have them as a friend and someone that you care for. So basically get a friend. Would you say that's a moral truth or a moral lie? Something good or bad?
Say it again.
So love thy neighbor as thyself.
Yeah, do you know where that's actually found? Because that was commanded in the Old Testament first, right?
Yeah, that was the Ten Commandments. But Jesus is also God, so.
Well, yeah. Well, you believe that, but what did Jesus command in the same book that he's talking about loving yourself? What did he also command?
Not sure. Go ahead and say it.
And you believe Jesus is God, right? You said Jesus is God?
Well, he was 100% God and 100% man, so yes.
Oh, you're away from your phone. I can't hear you. Can you say something,
100%.
Hanji? I just want to make sure my thing's not acting up again.
100%
He needs
God
to read
and 100%
his Bible.
man.
Okay, so it's just him. It's not you. So I can't hear you. You're away from your phone.
All right, can you hear me better now?
No. Let me see if I can turn you up. Go ahead and talk again.
Can you hear me better now?
Okay, I was able to turn your volume up. And let me check it over here on. So I turned your volume up. We should be able to hear you a little bit better. But yeah, so God also in those same passages commands slavery.
Oh, okay, no, I know he doesn't command slavery. Are you talking about the one where he was like slaves be good to your masters or slaves obey your masters?
No, I'm talking about in the Old Testament where, hold on, still having a hard time hearing you.
The chat in TikTok hears him fine, but for me and you, it's all crackly.
Oh, okay, but they can hear him fine. Okay, as long as they can hear him fine, as long as they can hear him fine, I'm good. And let's get this timer reset real quick because we've got more people, so we're gonna get this timer reset. We got 15 minutes. We got a timer reset. So this is in the Old Testament. And we'll get these brought up. You won't be able to see these, but I'll get these brought up for chat. But we have where nowhere in the New Testament does he condemn slavery. the New Testament never condemns it, but we have in first we'll talk about like Exodus 21 where he says, and we'll get this brought up on screen, boop, 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 window capture. So where we will go first is over to Exodus 21, 1 through 11. When you buy a male Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years, but in the 7th he shall go out a free person without debt. If he comes in single, he'll go out single. If he comes in married, then he and his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him son or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave declares, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him before God. He shall be brought to the doorpost, and his master shall pierce his ear with an awl, and he shall serve him for life. When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. And then we go into some treatment of said slaves. And some of the treatment of these slaves are... There we go. Found in Exodus 21, 20 through 21, just a few verses down. When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property. So God doesn't care. God's perfectly okay with you beating the absolute sonic rings out of your slave. As long as he's able to retain one of those rings for at least 3 to 4 days, or 2 to 3 days, God doesn't care.
Okay, so that never says that he condemns it. That just says when you and if you.
Yeah, whenever it says when, it always expects that you're going to do it. But God never condemns it. God allows it. Do you want a verse where he commands it?
He allowed us free will. So that is not God condemning or allowing it.
So did God know that when the Israelites were going to enter Israel, did God know that they were going to have to go to war against some people?
Well, he's all-knowing, so yeah.
Yeah. So if we go to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 10 through 16, this is where God commands it. When you draw near a town to fight against it, so this is what he knows they're going to draw near these towns, offer it terms of peace. If it accepts your terms of peace and surrenders to you, then all the people in it shall serve you at forced labor, meaning that even if the town surrenders, they're going to be enslaved.
Alright, so
Check your Discord, Cyber, when you get a chance.
again, this would probably say about like how slave is defined back then, or how it's worded or used. And I would probably just. But I see what you mean I see what you mean, but again, I'm also saying like you're enslaving an entire town is not exactly what I would imagine.
Yeah. Do you want to go read what? Well, we read that you can beat the slaves. The slaves can be beat, right? We have no reason to think that slavery would be anything else. So yeah, slavery's slavery. It's chattel slavery. They're property.
Yeah. So he's saying when you beat a slave, if the slave dies, right? So God says, do not murder, right? If you're beating a slave, another person, and that person dies, then God is saying that's wrong. You can't do that. But then God is also saying, but if you beat someone, right? But then they get healed or whatever, then have that person continue to serve you. Especially since usually slaves had nothing, if they were to cast them out to die, right?
Oh, dude, you know what the... Hold on. So real quick, over on YouTube, I have pinned the Cash App and Venmo for Hanji. If you do want to support Hanji, there's the way to do it. I pinned those for you guys.
Thank you, Simon.
Yeah, so I know you guys can see it. I was doing this for for Hanji, so I can get this pinned for Hanji. So the issue that you are going to run into, though, is that if you go read the law, right, then it's shown that you clearly haven't read the law. The idea of like homelessness, starving, and stuff wasn't an issue. There is a law that states that when you're harvesting your crop, you're not allowed to harvest the entire thing. You need to leave a portion of it for the needy. If somebody is really struggling for a house, the community is required to come together and help them get a house. If you even see your neighbor like building something and it's unsafe conditions, you're not to disrupt him. He's to continue work, and you're to build the safe conditions for him.
Interesting.
So, like, the idea that, like, well, it's just a non sequitur. The Bible already had that covered.
So then, either way, if they release the slave after beating them, then that helps the slave. Or if they don't release the slave after beating them, then that...
No, they don't have to. They can
don't have to.
They can beat the slave. Like I said, they can beat the absolute sonic rings out of their slave. The slave just has to survive a day or two, right? As long as that slave survives a day or two, the slave doesn't get set free. They can keep beating them all they want.
Yeah.
But anyways, do you got anything else? I think you came up here thinking you had some good ideas, but I think they've fallen flat.
Well, we've also kind of gone pretty off topic from what I had beginning to start with. But but we can move on to, I guess, life and Jesus lying. So Jesus gave a parable about seeds being spread in a field, that some seeds fell upon thorns, some upon rocks, and some upon like dry areas. And that's talking about how if you try to put something out into the wrong conditions, that it will not grow up into a fruitful thing. I'll just say a fruitful tree, as the metaphor goes. And would you not say that that's a pretty big truth about life, that if I cast my seed, or if I put my child out into a bad place, that they will not grow up?
So is your argument that because Jesus gave some advice that's good, that means we should follow Christianity? Because we can find better advice in Buddhism. We can find this same advice in the Old Testament. We can find similar advice in other ancient texts, right?
I'm just saying, can we also agree that Jesus was a truth teller?
No, Jesus lied.
Wait.
No, but is he also a truth teller about something?
Hold on. Go ahead.
Thank you,
Is he
Adele,
also
for the
a truth
$10
teller about
Venmo.
some things?
Let's give some W's for Adele for the $10
Yes.
Venmo to Hanji.
Thank you.
No, Jesus lied. Because you believe Jesus is God, right?
Can we talk about what I said real quick? That Jesus gave that parable about life, and that it was truth, and that it was good, and that Jesus also tells the truth.
Yeah, is it a case that Jesus might have got that parable from another source, that it's not unique to him? Thus, he's not telling truth, he's just repeating a story.
It's still the truth, is it not?
Yeah, I tell the truth. Does that make me the Messiah?
No, I'm just saying, can we agree that Jesus tells the truth as well?
Yeah, other people told the truth as well. In fact, there's other people who I would find more trustworthy than Jesus.
You're really avoiding
In fact,
it.
Doug and Rocky have never led us astray. They've never led us astray.
You're really avoiding the...
No, I answered your question. You don't like it. Just because Jesus said some truthful things doesn't mean I'm going to go on everything Jesus says. Jesus also said some untrue things.
That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted.
So, do you know what Jesus said that was untrue?
that, we can move on to the next thing, which
Well,
was
hold on. Do you want to hear the things that Jesus said that was untrue?
No, I really don't. I want to finish getting my time in, and then I can finish this, get some sleep.
Oh.
You know. All right. So.
Well, real quick, hold on. We've only got a few more minutes. More minutes. So I am going to give you the remainder of the time, which is about, you got 4 minutes. So I am going to give you 4 minutes to tell chat whatever you want to say.
Okay. We'll just move one. We'll just move one more thing on to how prophecies were told about Jesus. Micah 5:2 says,
I believe in Joe Hendry.
I don't know why they think they're actually going to get the time.
That was funny.
Like, I don't know why. All right. Hun, did you want to bring one of the guests up on TikTok?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, no.
Johnny.
I don't.
Johnny, can we have your age for TikTok POS, please? Johnny, you are doing a lot of chirping and comments. Hello. Oh, fetus deletus.
Still supposed to be on TikTok.
Gross.
Is it supposed to be stupid?
Yeah, guys, don't interact with him in chat. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get rid of him.
Yeah, if they're a fetus, they get the yeetus completely out of chat as well.
Yep. He gone. That was weird.
I have a sound here, and I don't remember what it is, so I'm going to play it real quick and try to remember.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, that's what it was. It's Goku. It's Goku. It doesn't have a picture next to him. Like, I don't know what this is. I've been looking for that one. It's one of the ones that doesn't have Gur on it. Anyways, is there anybody else on TikTok?
Friendly.
Who is it?
Benjamin, one of my French friends.
Oh. Let's move over to this one here. We're going to bring up Adrian. Adrian's been sitting over here on Video Ninja for a hot minute.
Oh. Anyways.
I'm sorry, Benjamin. I am only looking for debates. And quick, I want ones in both chats. I'm thinking about, so I'm a huge fan of Attack on Titan. I'm thinking about getting the game for PC. Who here would be interested in watching me play Attack on Titans on PC over live? I'm just curious. Let's see ones in chat if you're interested in seeing that. And Adrian, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I am doing good. And real quick, Video Ninja is acting up, so I'm going to go ahead and drop everybody on Video Ninja. Come back up. So Adrian and Cany, come back up. When I drop you, and I'll bring you right back up. I'm just going to try to get this fixed because I can't hear you, and I don't think chat can hear you either. And I've turned your volumes up all the way.
Okay.
Let me get this.
Oh my god, you unalive Penny, you bastard. Listen, the opportunity was there.
I hate when technology gets goofy on you.
I could have sworn that was a song. Oh no,
Right,
that's crazy on you.
You there, Adrian?
Adrian! Oh.
Oh, hold up. I can't.
No, I can't
Hold
hear
on.
anything.
You are still extremely quiet.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna
Let me check
see
this
if
real
that helps.
quick.
You can talk to Cany while I do that.
Okay. We'll move on to the next person then.
Tiber, you had the perfect opportunity to go, Adrian!
How you doing, guest? Can I get your name?
Hi, are you talking to me?
I cannot hear. Let me go check audio settings here. Oh. Oh no, that should.
It's okay.
Let me try
No problem.
something real quick. I think I did this the last time this was. And unfortunately, unlike Justin, I cannot get a stream key to go to I'm trying to remember what he uses as Streamlabs. I can't go to Streamlabs because TikTok is no longer giving out those keys. Let's see if I can get this fixed real quick.
They were a pain in the ass anyway, but I mean, they're running so well for him now.
Oh, his stream was crap last night because it wasn't working for him
Yeah,
either.
he was like all up in the screen. I'm like, damn, I can see freckles on freckles. I think his freckles are adorable because I have them too.
Well, and it's annoying because like it's working. It was working just fine, and it's either Video Ninja craps out on me, or
Yes.
yeah, TikTok decides to say, "Hey, I'm not working for you guys anymore."
It's giving screen, you guys. I'm getting ham.
All right. Oh, almost hung up on that. How you doing, guest? Are you there? Cany, you are live and on the air. All right, can't hear them. We're going to go ahead and move back over to Adrian. You there?
Okay, I guess I'm the only one in here that.
I still can't hear you. Oh,
I can hear him. That's the crazy part.
I don't
think
know.
this thing.
Oh, there we go. I think I can hear you now. Go ahead.
You were talking to Cany.
Oh, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Hold, I got $10 super chat from Adele again. Hanji, my hubs, rock hard for Doug. Just lost it. You can't be friends with Hanji without me. Tongue in cheek adorableness.
What?
All right, I can hear you now, Adrian. How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
All right, and so how old are you?
I'm 26.
All right, and
Sounded like 66.
are you a Christian?
I'm not entirely sure what religion to believe in right now. Like, I just started believing in God recently, as in.
Oh well, stop it. You're not too deep in. Just take the book and throw it away. Just throw it away. Just yeet us the Bible-less.
Cany would like to know why you don't just let people speak.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, they were wondering like why you mute everybody as soon as they come in here. Like,
Oh, I haven't muted you yet. You're still talking.
no, like, Cany was in here, but then you and them left, so it let me start talking.
Oh, I couldn't hear her. I was having the same problems I was having with you. I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, I was on my computer. That might have been part of
That
the
might have been it. Yeah, if you're on your computer, you're probably going to need to get a microphone or I'm not going to be able to hear you.
I do have a microphone, but it's
Yeah,
like,
I can hear you now. I hear you now, so yeah, what's your argument?
So, if you believe that Jesus is a liar and a fraud,
And the whole
kind of-
crucifixion is unnecessary.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody believes that, but they could believe what they want.
Mhm.
You can't force your ideals on everybody.
I'm not forcing it on. I'm not forcing it on anybody. You came up here, buddy. People come into my life. I'm not going into their lives and saying, "Get in my life right now," and bringing them over here in shackles. You came up here on your own.
I just stumbled upon you about 2 hours ago and decided to see what was going on. So.
Mhm. And you've been whining ever since.
Yeah, and everybody's been arguing.
Yeah, that's what a debate is.
Yeah.
Mhm. Did you not know that's what debates are? We argue over a point. It's the whole point of a debate.
Yes, I am aware of what a debate is.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure.
My
This
school
is comical.
had
Because you seemed confused.
my school had mock presidential debates. Like,
Does this have to do
the
with
school
Jesus,
itself
Cyber?
could choose who they wanted to be the school representative at like basketball games and track meets and whatever school events.
Yeah, so I don't think your logic's concluding like my high school had presidential debates. I'm a Christian, thus Jesus existed. I don't think that follows.
I never said I was a Christian. I just said I started reading it a while ago.
Oh.
That doesn't necessarily
That's
mean
not what
I
you said.
understand it.
So do you got an argument, or what's your argument?
At this point, I'm just here to listen.
I just can't with some of these people. Like I can't. Like if you're coming up here to whine, just say, "Hey, you're a piece of shit in your lives. Knock it off," and I'll go, "Oh."
And he 1,000% said he just got back into Christianity. Like what?
All right, let's bring Cany up. Let's bring Cany up. How you doing, Cany?
I'm doing okay. You can hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you okay. And can I get your age?
All right. Well, I prefer not to share my personal information very much.
Are you over 18?
I'm over 18, that's for sure.
Okay, are you a Christian?
I don't prefer to share that information either.
Do you believe that?
Oh my God.
Do you believe that Jesus died and was resurrected for you?
So, do you believe that?
Oh no, I'm asking you because if you don't believe that, I'm just going to kick you.
Well, why are you kicking everybody then, left and right? Everybody has
Oh, because I'm
questions and
here. I'm
everybody
here
wants
to. I'm
debate
here
you.
to debate Christians.
I'm a Christian.
Oh, okay. There we go. See, that wasn't so hard. That wasn't so hard.
Zeus
So
be
I
with
have a
us.
question for you.
So hold on. So I'm a firm believer that Jesus was a liar and a fraud. Now he's nothing but a carcass, and the whole atonement was not necessary. Do you have an argument against that?
Yes. Can you prove that?
Okay.
Can you prove
Oh.
that? Can you bring evidence?
Yeah, I can give you a logical syllogism as to why the crucifixion was unnecessary. Do you believe that? Yeah, do you believe that all choices are either necessary or unnecessary? Necessary meaning it couldn't be any other way.
Well, it depends, right?
Well, if it depends, then it's unnecessary. If it has to be.
If it depends on your life and death situation, then probably necessary. But if it's not, so necessary, then it's not necessary, right?
So you agree that all choices are necessary or unnecessary, yes?
It depends, I said, right?
Okay. So premise 2, necessary choices could have been no other way, meaning they had to happen. This is only necessary choices. They had to happen. That's why they're necessary.
Yeah, but you're not answering my question. Can you
No, no. This is I'm getting there. This is a syllogism. Hold on. This is a syllogism. I'm getting there. Right? You got to listen to the syllogism. Premise 3, any decision made by an all-powerful being is by definition unnecessary because all-powerful beings lack constraints.
For example, give me an example.
Yeah, does anything restrain God? Does God have any constraints?
How can we know?
He's all powerful. Well, you believe he's all powerful, right?
Yeah. Well,
so
how can I know?
And what does all powerful mean?
He got all the power, authority.
Yeah, and is he bound by anything?
Satan bows down to him. Satan bows down.
Yeah, we're not talking about Satan. We're not talking about Satan. We're talking about God.
Prove
Give
me
God? I'm getting there. Hold on. We're getting there. Calm down.
Faster.
Is there? Well, if you'd answer the questions, if you'd listen and answer the questions instead of giving me meta commentary, are all powerful beings? See, here you go with the meta commentary again. This is why we're not going faster. Are all powerful beings constrained by anything?
I don't know. And you don't know either. We don't know.
But wait. You're saying that an all powerful being has restrictions?
I don't know.
So God's not all powerful. So you don't know if God's all powerful?
I didn't say that.
Oh.
Don't put words in my mouth. I never said that.
So name a restriction. Hold on. Name a restriction. Name a restriction then that an all-powerful being has. Name something that restricts them, that they can't do. Go ahead.
No, I don't think I understand what you're trying to tell me. No, give me an example, okay?
No, you're telling. I believe. Hold on. I'm giving you. Hold on. I'm giving you a syllogism. I'm giving you a syllogism.
Just give me an example. You don't have to give me anything. Just give me an example.
Yeah, I'm giving you the syllogism to show why Jesus' death was unnecessary, thus God lied.
Yeah, but I asked you about whether or not you can provide some example.
Yeah, I'm giving you a syllogism. Hold on, we're going to get there. I'm giving you a syllogism.
No, you're trying to confuse me, and you're trying to confuse everybody, and you're trying to.
I'm not confused. Hold on. Do you know what a syllogism is? Do you know what a syllogism is?
You just trying to.
Hold on. Do you know what a syllogism is? That's a yes or no. I'm gonna. Look, I am answering the question. I went ahead and muted you. So what I'm doing is I'm giving you a syllogism, right? The lie is that the crucifixion was necessary. That's the lie. And I'm telling you why it's a lie. I'm telling you the why it's a lie, right? So track the conversation. Lock in, focus, and I'm telling you why it's a lie.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so we need to go through this syllogism then, right? So you believe God is all powerful, right?
I believe that God is all powerful.
Okay, does God have anything that constrains him from doing anything he wants?
I don't know.
So then you don't know if God's all powerful.
I believe that he's an all-powerful God because he has
And
all
do
the
all
authority.
power,
He's the
yeah,
creator.
yeah, and if he has the all authority, is there anything that he can't do? Name
I don't
something he
know.
can't do.
We are limited here on Earth. Our brain
That's
is
not what
limited
I
to
asked.
material
That's
things.
not what I
Okay?
asked. The question
I asked
was,
you, provide me evidence.
I'm
Provide me clear
providing it. You need
evidence
to answer. I am. You need to answer the
about
questions. You need to
whether or
answer the
not Jesus
questions.
lied.
Yeah,
You
you
are
need to
not
answer the
answering the
question.
question. You are not
I
answering the
did.
question.
I
You
am.
know why?
I did.
You know why you're not answering the question? Because you are a liar yourself.
No, I'm answering
You're
the question.
lying
How,
here.
I'm
You
not. I'm
Where's her
answering the
okay.
husband
question.
at?
Provide.
Hold on. You're muted again. I'm answering the question. You're not tracking. You're concussed. You're confused. You've been waiting in that box for so long, you got dizzy. So what I need you to do is blow bubbles and follow them to the surface and take a breath of air. Follow the bubbles to the surface and take a breath of fresh air and just respond to the questions that I'm asking you, and then I'll show you why when God said the crucifixion was necessary, he was lying. So just
Tell me.
focus, answer the questions.
No. Tell me. Answer me my question first. Why should I trust you?
No, I'm
Why
just asking you.
do I have to think that you're telling the truth? Why? Can you give me a proof? Like, give me
I haven't
something.
made a.
Why
I
should
haven't
I
made
trust
any.
you?
Hold on. I haven't made any truth claims. I'm asking
Because I
you
think you're lying.
questions
I think you're lying. That's why you're
about
trying to
what.
avoid the answer.
Wait. I am answering. You idiot.
Okay,
I
let's
am
do it.
answering,
Give me
dummy.
direct answer. Give me two-word answer.
Yeah, God lied about the crucifixion
Yes
being
or no?
necessary.
Yes
He
or
lied
no?
about
Okay,
the.
why is it not necessary?
Okay, are
Why is
you
it
are you
not
going to
necessary?
listen? Yeah, because an all-powerful being has no constraints. Thus, any
What's the
decision.
what is constraints? Tell me.
Yeah, there's nothing that limits God. God is not limited by anything in your worldview. He's all
So if
powerful.
he is not limited, why couldn't he do what you're saying that he didn't do? Why? Like why do you think something limit him to actually die for our sins and then be risen from the dead? I don't
No,
get it.
no, I didn't say he didn't do it. I said God lied by saying it was necessary. You're not even tracking the conversation.
I think it's
God
you who are
lied.
not tracking the
God.
conversation. So
So hold on.
how
What
did
was?
he lie?
Tell me. Tell me what was. Hold
How?
on. Hold on.
How
What?
did he lie?
Hold on. Before I answer that, what do you think I am saying God lied about?
No, well, I don't know. You made a claim. You said that he lied. I have no idea
About
why in the
what?
world
What do
are you
you
saying
think?
something
Hold
like
on.
that.
Listen, because I don't even know. I don't even think you're listening. What do you think? Or I just
You
told you. What
are
did I
not
say he lied about? I just told you. What did I say he lied about?
you didn't say that's the thing. I said, okay,
Okay, listen.
well,
He
actually, no.
lied.
Wait.
Listen,
You
listen,
said
listen,
that it
listen,
was not
listen.
necessary. But I'm asking you something else. I'm asking you, could you please provide an evidence that he lied? Okay, so
About the
I think
crucifixion
you're
being
trying to
necessary?
confuse me. I think you're trying to.
So I'm going to mute you again. I'm going to mute you again. So he lied about saying the crucifixion was necessary. That's what he lied about. Now I'm going to tell you why it's a lie.
Okay, he never said it was necessary. That's the thing.
Yeah,
And
he
you
did.
are lying about it.
Yeah, he did. Hold on, we'll go find it. We'll go find this real quick. She's probably still yapping while she's muted.
Probably. I feel bad for her husband if she's even married. Yeesh. Honestly, Storm, I don't know. Is this the same lady that wouldn't stop talking when you kept muting her?
I believe it was. I believe it was.
They're both insufferable.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. So yeah, so where we're gonna go is gonna go to Luke. Oh, let me unmute. Let me get this copied real quick. It's gonna be Luke 24:26.
I agree, Angel. It's so peaceful.
So peaceful. Go unmute her. All right, so if you go to Luke 24:26, it states that it is necessary for the Messiah to suffer these things to bring about his Father's glory.
Yo, but you don't believe that he was God.
Oh, it's not about my belief. It's about hold on. It's about your belief. It's not about my belief. This is your internal critique. It's about your belief. It's your belief. And just so you know, I have you clipped once already. I'm about to put a part 2 of that out. But you've been clipped once already. So, listen, it's not about my belief, it's about your belief. You believe that Jesus' crucifixion was necessary. That's your belief. And I'm going to show you why, according to your belief, God lied.
Yeah, but why do you have to show me that it was necessary, even though I already believe it?
No, I'm going to show you that it wasn't necessary. That it being necessary. Hold on, it being necessary is the lie. God lied in the scriptures. It's not necessary.
Okay, show me where he lied.
I just did. The lie is, I just read it to you in Luke when he said that the suffering is necessary. That's what the scripture says.
That was your opinion. No,
it's not my opinion. It's what the scripture says.
That it was not necessary. The scripture says it was necessary, and your.
All right, listen, you nitwit. Okay, I'm saying that it was a lie. Look, if you can't comprehend, that's fine. Tell me you don't understand, and I'll just kick you. Just let me know you don't understand, because I don't know how much clearer I can make this. I'm trying to make this as clear as I can. You believe that it was necessary. I'm saying that God lied to you by telling you it was necessary, and I'm going to show you why it's a lie. Do you understand? Yes or no?
I understand, but why do you have to mute me without letting other people actually participate?
Because you're not understanding. See, and you get muted because you keep going on meta commentary. This is why you got kicked last time, because you keep going on this meta commentary that's unnecessary. And then you get mad because you feel like I'm not asking you the questions because you won't stay off the meta. Stay off the meta commentary, focus, dig in, lock in, and just answer the questions. I bet you can't do it.
It was not necessary.
Yes, it's not necessary.
All right, I'm listening.
Okay, the reasoning why. Now I've got, let's see, I've got one question I got a few questions. I got 6 questions to ask you. Can you just answer these questions with a yes or no?
But you haven't answered my question yet.
I'm trying. This is answering your question. In order for me to answer your question,
let me answer your questions, right, or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So we already agreed all choices are necessary or unnecessary. You said yes to that already. A necessary choice could not have been any other way. You said yes to that already. We're on the third question.
Wait, hold on. A
Okay.
necessary choice.
A choice that is necessary.
All right.
Could not have been any other way. Meaning, for example, the crucifixion had to happen. There's no way for the crucifixion
I
to
understand.
not have happened because it's necessary.
Okay, next question.
Okay. Any decision made by an all-powerful being is by definition unnecessary because all-powerful beings have no restraint.
But it's necessary for us because we do have restraint.
No, it's not about us. It's just about the all-powerful being. Because we don't make decisions in this. The all-powerful being does.
But he does it for us.
Well, that's irrelevant, though. Does any decision made... Well, we'll dispute that. Hold on. That's not the question. Just answer the question. You're starting to get into that meta. I just need you to answer this specific question. Pay attention to it. Any decision made by an all-powerful being is by definition unnecessary because all-powerful beings lack restraint.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
So all-powerful beings
It's
are restrained?
It's illogical.
How's it logical?
No, the way you combine the question, it's not even combinable. It's not even like it doesn't even have to go together.
Okay,
I'm sorry,
let me ask you
this is not
another.
my
Let me ask you another question. Let me ask you another question. Let me
really
ask
ask
you.
you to
Let
be
me
a little
let
bit
me ask you
more
another
exact.
question. What constraints do all powerful beings have?
Look, the decisions.
No,
that
just
God
answer the
makes-
question. Hold on.
No, just a
What?
second.
Hold
You're
on.
trying to manipulate the words. That's
I'm
the
not
problem.
manipulating the words.
Yes, you are.
How am I
Because-
manipulating the word?
Because you are combining something that doesn't make any sense at all.
Like what?
All-powerful God is making necessary decisions for us, the people who are limited here on earth.
No, hold on.
For
The
our
reasoning why,
necessity
listen,
for
the
us.
reasoning why it's
He
unnecessary.
does it
So
for
is
us.
God required to do a blood sacrifice
was
to save
necessary
humans?
for us.
Is God
was
required
necessary for
to
us.
do that?
Oh no.
Or does he
absolutely
choose
not.
to
But
do
Jewish-
that?
Look, but Jewish people, they were doing sacrifices of their own children to Satan in Old Testament.
That's not true.
That's true. You can open with me references. I can give you more than 5 references.
Oh man, we're done.
What an anti-Semitic bitch.
I launched that pug into space. I thought you liked that pig. Why'd I do that?
I said what I said.
All right, we will bring up Jocelyn. And Jocelyn, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Please have a brain.
Can you hear me?
And can I get your age?
Yeah, I'm 33.
You're 33.
Yes, sir.
Hold up, you guys. Can you get better audio on your end? I'm gonna try something instead of just jumping to a conclusion. I'm gonna let me check their audio.
How's that?
Here,
that better?
I hear him.
Well, yeah, I can't.
Damn.
You can't hear
Let's
me?
go ahead and let's just go on to your. Is your Razor? Is that a phone?
No, that's a microphone, but I switched to my headset.
Which one?
So I have a
Let's try
Corsair Void Elite wireless headset.
Okay, let's. Because I'm seeing 2 of them here.
How's that? Is that better?
I think it'll work. So, and are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so I'm a firm believer that the crucifixion, let's stick with the crucifixion this time. I'm a firm believer the crucifixion was unnecessary and that Christians were lied to into believing it was necessary.
Okay. What evidence would you have of that?
Yeah, so do you know what a syllogism is?
Yes.
Okay, so P1, so this has 6 premises to it. So P1,
Okay.
all choices are either necessary or unnecessary.
Correct.
Okay, P2, necessary choices could not have been any other way. They are required.
I would word it differently, but I would agree.
Okay, any decision made by an all-powerful being is by definition unnecessary because all-powerful beings lack constraint.
That could be true for certain beings.
No, but all-powerful beings.
I would pose the question, would that powerful being be able to limit themselves?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get that in a minute. But the question is, yeah, I guess we could do that. So God is an all. So we'll put an asterisk in P3.
Okay.
God is an all-powerful being, correct?
Correct.
Every decision made by God is unnecessary, meaning it's just desired. And what I mean by that, and the reason why we put the asterisk in P3, it would mean that God desired to limit his power. Him limiting his power is unnecessary. So he did it because he wanted to, not because he had to.
Agreed.
Okay. So then we would agree that any decision, even to include to limit their power by an all-powerful being, is by definition unnecessary.
Disagree.
So was God required to limit his power?
It all comes down to his attributes.
And what are his attributes?
One attribute being loving, all-caring. One specifically that I'm thinking about would be justice, being justice, living in that space of justice.
And this justice requires him to limit his power?
To be justiful.
To what?
To be justiful. To be full of justice, that would be accurate.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying though, like, is he not capable? Like, is it beyond him to say, hey, you know what? These animal sacrifices, we're just going to keep these animal sacrifices. If you want to make it into heaven, we're just going to require animal sacrifices in order for you to get into heaven.
So I would argue anything is possible, but what is reasonable?
Oh, so hold on. Reasonable is a different question. If it is possible that we could do that God could have done something else, right? Then that means that limiting his power then became unnecessary.
I'm getting hung up on the unnecessary portion of it, because in order for his attributes to be fully expressed, in some ways he must limit himself.
But does he? Well, why though? Why does his justice require him to limit himself?
Good question. So God loves the entire world, but he also must be just. So, for an example,
what's your argument that? What's your argument that God loves the entire world? I think you need to justify that, because I have good reasons why God doesn't love the world.
Sure. So I would base it out of ex nihilo, how he created the world, must begin from a place of loving, or else it would not be a beginning point from loving. So I would take on the argument from C.S. Lewis, where he would say that, let's take a car, right? You have 100% of a brand new car, you have a car. You take that car and you have rust. If you put 50% rust on the car, you have a damaged car. But if you have 100% rust, you have no car. So therefore, evil must borrow from something that is good in order for it to be evil.
Well, hold on.
So
That doesn't fit
everything,
though. Right?
everything,
Hold on.
everything.
That's a category.
Okay.
Hold on. That's a category error because we're not talking
Sure.
about evil yet, right? So that's just a category error. So the
Oh,
question I'm
sorry.
going to have for you, though.
I was making the basis out of that the world begins from a place of goodness and then becomes corrupted. So if you have
Well,
100%
what if I would
evil,
argue?
you have
Hold on.
nothing.
What if I would argue
Mhm.
that it has nothing to do with love, but it has to do with God just wanted to express His glory?
The problem is that glory has to be tied to good. You can't have separation of glory and good being two different categories.
Why is that? Why is that?
Because glory comes out of goodness. So
Wait, how
God
does
is
glory come out
glorified
of
from
goodness?
yeah. So
Give me that argument. I
because
don't see
he's-
that following.
So it's going to be from a definitional example, you could say. So in order for something to be glorified, exemplified, lifted up, or be great, it in fact must be good. So for instance, if someone is to be morally good, that's a positive. Someone is to be morally corrupt, that is a negative. That's not glorified. So it goes down.
So
In
hold on,
terms
let me
of
ask
the
you.
hierarchy
Let me
of
challenge
goodness
this.
and
Let me
evil.
challenge this real. Hold on. Let me challenge this
Yeah,
real
go
quick.
ahead.
So when Schittler, when Eva Braun's husband did what he did to the Jewish people, but he was doing that for the glory of the Germans, was that glory good or bad?
So that would be a corruption of good.
But he was doing it for glory, right?
Well, that would be the corruption. It wouldn't glorify anything.
But was he not glorified for his actions?
No. In fact, he committed suicide, and everybody after him went to jail, went to prison. Nobody was glorified in that.
Oh yeah,
In
that's
fact,
after
it
the
was
fact, though. We're talking about. Hold on.
In fact,
we're talking about. Hold on. We're talking about during his time. And doesn't the Bible make claims that Satan gets glorified from time to time?
You have scripture? Do you have a verse?
Find one.
And make sure guest says self-unalivement because this is streaming on TikTok as well. So.
Yeah, I will. Okay, yeah, I'll redact that. I'm not seeing the scripture for that, so I'll redact that.
Okay, that's fine. But going back to the Nazis and all of that, none of them were exemplified.
Can you give me a definition? Because when I look up glory, the definition that I get for glory is just high renowned or honor won by notable achievements.
1 second.
I'm not seeing anything where glory is tied to goodness. You just need to give me that argument.
So
Yeah, and
so the
when it comes to
definition.
like, hold on real quick, and when it comes to saying
Mm,
things like self-unaliving or stuff, I know you're on YouTube.
mm,
YouTube has different things.
mm,
I also stream this on TikTok, so make sure we say
mm.
things like, just make it sound funny. You can make it rhyme, but just don't say the actual words.
Oh, I'm picking up. So on this end, I'm saying glory is multifaceted concept encompassing various meanings, primarily refers to high renown, honor, praise earned through notable achievements. So
Yeah, yeah. So
again,
notable
so
achievements don't have to be good.
mhm.
Notable achievements can be
No,
bad.
well, time out. We'll go back to the previous example where they were glorifying Germany. Um, did they receive glory for that action, or did they receive punishment?
Oh, after the fact, but during it going on, they're receiving glory during it. It depends on what side you're on. Those who
Oh,
supported
I
them
would
were glorifying them. Those who were opposed to them were condemning them, right? So it depends on
I
which
would
side you're
actually
at.
I would actually argue there was no glory achieved through that. There were many um, turning off the lights on Hitler. There were many of those attempts during his reign, and there are many of those leaders who said that they did not enjoy it through various things that they had to experience
All I have to
tangibly.
show is that
They
there was
all
at least,
said they all
all I
said it
have to
wasn't good.
demonstrate, hold on, all I have to demonstrate is that at least one person looked at his achievements and said those were notable and they were glorifying him as a result of it. I don't have to look at leaders. I can look at the people of Germany who supported him, who were part of the Nazi party, and say, look, they glorified him, and that's all it requires. It doesn't require other world leaders because there's no world leaders to compare God to. So I just say that the people that were under Hitler were glorifying him.
And can people be misled?
Huh?
Can people be misled
Absolutely.
through lies, like your topic says?
Yeah, they can be misled through lies, but that doesn't change the
Correct.
fact that when they look and they see what they view as notable achievements, they are glorifying Hitler. It doesn't change that fact, right? And in fact, I would say that that's what you're trying to do. That's the whole point of this argument, right? When we get back to the syllogism, is that I'm going to show you why the crucifixion being necessary was a lie. That's the whole point of it. So you kind of walked into that one.
That's fine. Do
As a
you
matter
have
of
more
fact,
questions?
Jason does bring up a good point. Philippians 3:19 says, "Whose glory is in their shame." So Philippians 3:19. We'll get that brought up on screen. Yeah, I when I'm doing debates, I used to. You can ask Kanji. I used to go into these things where I'd spend a lot of time looking things up. I don't anymore because it turns it into a very silent stream.
Oh, I got you.
So Philippians 3:19, their end is destruction. Their God is the belly, and their glory is their shame. Their minds are set on earthly things. So yeah, even if so, this would just go against your definition that glory has to be tied to good.
Well, the how could I say this? This is their greatest thing they could achieve is destruction. The greatest being they serve is their stomach. The goodness or the exalting that they could receive is their shame. It's not uplifting. It's not uplifting a good idea. It's saying the best they can do is this, and it's not good. It's only evil. It's only corruption. So I don't know how this plays into yours, because it's not really, it's taking the good destiny is their destruction. Their God is their stomach. So I see a parallelogram happening here, that it's not really agreeing that this is what they're receiving, but it's actually a negative that they receive, not a
Hold on,
it's not
hold on.
saying
But
that
if
it's
this
a
is,
positive.
hold on. But if this is what, so if we read the brothers and sisters join in imitating me and observe those who live according to the example you have in us, for many live as enemies of the cross of Christ. I have often told them, and now I tell you, even with tears, their end is destruction. So it is saying that they wanted this. This is their achievement. This is what they wanted. They were quite literally intentionally enemies to Christ because this is their glory. This is what they wanted.
And is there
So this
glory in
is-
destruction?
Huh?
Is there glory in destruction?
Yes, that is what they wanted, is their glory, correct. So glory, what I'm saying
Which
is
was destruction?
glory doesn't have to be
I don't
good.
follow that. No,
Hey,
well,
you got, hey, look, go in the
don't
afterlife,
really-
bring it up with Paul. Go to Paul and say, Paul, the fuck.
well, the problem is here is that I see their glory as destruction, and destruction is a negative. It's
Well, that's because you're tied.
hyperbole.
That's because...
It's what am I thinking of? It's not gosh, I can't think of the word I'm thinking
Well, yeah,
of.
that's because you're presupposing that it needs to be. You're just presupposing that it needs to be positive. But my glory can be in whatever I want it to be. If I'm gonna go and do heinous things, right, and I am gonna go do horrific things, and I want that to be how I'm known. I want to be known as the biggest mass murderer there ever was, and that's what my glory is in. It's a bad thing, but you know what? I can go and do that, and people are going to remember me as such, right? So what I'm saying,
then I would say your glory would be in remembrance.
That's all
To
glory
be
is. It's a high
known.
honor. All the definition of glory is high honor or renown. Honor doesn't have to be a good thing, right? Honor is just being remembered. If I am just being remembered, that's all I want. That is my glory, right?
Okay, let's draw this back to the original argument. How is glory now negative through the world being created?
Oh, well, where the question is, so on the syllogism, we're talking about whether or not, so the question was, any decision made by an all-powerful being is by definition unnecessary. Now, you're trying to give me an argument why God limiting his abilities was necessary. And I'm arguing that it's not necessary, that he did it by choice.
Okay, so is love necessary?
No.
Okay, so all of humans can exist without love, joining together, having belief and trust in one another. That's not necessary.
I can give you plenty of animals that exist without love.
Oh, I don't mean, sorry, I take from the perspective that humans are above in some sort of, if you want to call it evolutionary chain, you can, but humans have a reason to have ability to connect complex ideas that other animals can't. Animals run on purely instinct, so if we want to take from the animal's perspective, I would say that's highly unrecognizable, because many of the animal world does things that
So
we
how are
don't
you
know if it's good or
defining?
bad
So
or if it's positive.
I just need your definition of love.
Love means the connecting of two individuals free of any influence or instigation or forcefulness.
Oh yeah, people can survive without love. 100%. We don't need love. It's beneficial, sure, but it's unnecessary. There are plenty of humans who live
forcing
in.
someone equate to love? What?
Well, and there's plenty of people who live in by themselves. That word slipped in my mind. So yeah, love isn't necessary. It's nice, it's beneficial, but it's not necessary. No.
Okay, so would agreement be necessary?
Would what?
I'm just kind of digging into where you find. Okay, so what I'm doing here is digging into to find where we need connection. For instance, this whole entire conversation is
Human
pointless
connection
without connection.
isn't necessary. Humans can live fine being by themselves. Interacting with each other, sure, we need to interact with each other, but that doesn't mean there needs to be love. Love is quite literally not required.
Okay, so why? Let me ask you this then: if it's just beneficial, not needed, then why do we put people in solitary confinement?
Oh, hold on.
If
I'm
it's
not
not,
saying.
if it's
Hold
not
on.
necessary.
Hold on. Let me
Okay.
go back to my argument. I said that we don't need love, right? Sure. Having connection, like interaction with other humans. Yeah, I would say having interaction with other humans. Yeah, that's probably necessary, right? But to live in total being completely solitary, I think that would drive people to go nuts. Yeah, that'd be bad. But just interacting with each other doesn't mean love is required.
Okay, so love is not required to connect with each other. I guess I could grant that, but would you agree that peace is required in order for there to be advancement, or do you think warring is the way humans have advanced?
Peace doesn't require love. You just need to connect peace to love, and I don't think you can. That is not a burden
I'm connecting
I would want to take.
I'm connecting peace to connection. To your thought is that there needs to be connection. Okay, that connection, does it need to be peaceful, or does it need to be in fact turmoil, fighting?
Yeah, you could have peace, sure.
Okay, so therefore peace is good.
Peace is beneficial. I don't think peace is good or bad. It's just beneficial.
Oh, right. I forgot. Your what was that called again? Phenomenal conservatism.
Conservative,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I misunderstood that. Okay, so in my worldview, you need to have peace in order for you to have growth. If you don't have peace, you don't have growth. Just like in any kind of situation, if you don't have anything good, such as peace, then you don't have anything growing. So therefore, peace has to come from a place of goodness. So therefore, God created the world ex nihilo good, meaning that there was a positivity to it, meaning there was love and connection, as you would say.
Or it was just for his glory. Like, you just have to, my argument to that would be, he just did it in glory because he wanted to create something to worship him. Like, I'm going to tell you, you're never going to be able to like, you're taking on a burden that you're not going to be able to prove.
Well, I just think that we're missing each other based on our worldviews. You don't think anything is objectively good, while I think that there is only objectively good and only objectively bad. So I think this is where our worldviews are conflicting.
Well, no, what you need to point out, though, is you believe that love is why God created things. And sure. I would say no, he created it for his glory. Everything he does, like, I can go point out scripture after scripture after scripture where everything he does is for his glory. In fact, love is for his glory. He wants us to love him for his glory. Everything goes back to his glory.
Amen.
So it's for his glory. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. So let's get back to the syllogism, though.
Well, hold on. It can't be either good or bad. It can only be good. So just like we use the example of Germany, their final solidified place in history,
but the good is
a
for his
cautionary
glory,
negative.
though, right?
Cautionary negative.
Is the good a product of his glory? Like, is his glory necessary first, and is the good contingent?
No, the good is an attribute. So it's a part of him. It can't be, so you can't separate good from glory. They don't war with each other. They're not two factions. They don't rub against each other. They're right in alignment with each other.
How did you define love again? How did you define love?
I don't think we actually had a definition of love. We had a definition of glory.
No, you gave a definition of love that was like connecting with two persons.
Oh, so it's
who is God? If it's if it's only God, that definition doesn't fit. God can't be an attribute of love because there's no other persons for him to even connect at his level for him to connect. Your definition quite literally cannot fit God.
But you do not want me to go into the Trinitary.
Well, the issue with the Trinitarian, the issue that you're going to run into, right, is when we look at the Trinity, are we looking at one as far as a body, Right now, I know it's not a physical body, but is it one
Nope.
body?
Nope.
It's 3 distinct bodies?
Nope.
So is it one?
Nope.
So you're running yourself into a contradiction here.
No, I'm not. So
You are.
So it's kind of like this. Can a statue fully understand what its maker is like? Can a computer fully understand who the maker is?
No, they don't have minds. They don't think of anything.
Correct. So if you take on that mentality that we are the statues and God is the being, you will never be able to fully connect the dots to how everything works. So God
Is this
the
going
Father,
to something
God the
like
Son.
his ways are greater than our ways?
No, not at all. Not at all. This is talking about God being worthy of praise. So let's say,
So it's all,
you
hold on. So we just went
Yep.
back to his glory, right? So we just went back to his glory. So again, where
I
we're
don't know how
going
we
to
went
need to
back to his
go is
glory,
we're just,
but
so what we're going to need to do is hop back on the syllogism, right?
Go ahead.
Because I don't think you have been able to provide why it would be necessary for God to restrict his powers, right? You haven't given that. I believe it's
Well,
unnecessary.
okay.
It was never
Let me-
required.
let me jump into that then. So God has to restrict himself, meaning that he has to restrict an attribute. God is all loving, but in order for him to be all just, he must restrict himself. So let's say that individual that committed terrible things never asked for forgiveness. They flipped the bird to God the entire time.
Hold on, real quick.
That person will never reach heaven. They'll never be in heaven. However,
Wait, hold
those
on, hold
that
on.
acknowledge their sin
who
and
chose-
submit, they will.
Hold on. Who chose what's considered terrible and what's not considered terrible? Who made that choice?
God.
God made that choice, right? So
He has
God, by making those decisions, right? Because the issue that you're going to
Okay.
run into now is if you try to say like he had to, now you're going to have to say that morals under your worldview exist, like God is restrained by morals, right? Or you're going to have to acknowledge that when God said, "Thou shalt not murder," God just desired that people not unalive each other, so he gave that command. But if you're going to say those were necessary, then they're beyond God. Then you're restraining God, you're restricting God, you're taking away from his all-powerfulness. So which one is it?
So I'm not taking away God's power. God is judicially running the world. So let's take an emperor, for instance. Is an emperor all powerful?
No, emperors are not all powerful. And I don't hold on.
Well,
I don't
let me express this in a way. Let me give a definition of all powerful.
Let me finish. I don't allow comparing God from your worldview to human. Because in your worldview, and you've stated it here, humans, right? Because you believe God maintains the omni properties. In your worldview, under no circumstances do any of these humans maintain the omni properties. So you're just doing a false dichotomy, and that's why I don't allow it. Under no circumstances will comparing God to a son and a father. It will never make sense. It's a false dichotomy. I just don't allow them because they're disingenuous.
So they're not. I'll grant you, they're not a perfect example of explain
they're
how God
completely
works.
false.
Because
I don't allow them. Move on to another argument.
There's only we can only understand through our own reasoning. Do you agree with that as a phenomenal conservatism?
Yeah, but I would also say that it's not analogous, so I don't allow it. Because as soon as you give me this, as soon as I start to ask about other things, you're going to be like, that God would be privy to, you're going to be like, well, no, because that's the emperor's not, he's human, right? That's why I don't allow it, because there's further questions that need to be asked that you can't grant because he's human.
So not every example is going to be perfect, especially when we're talking about God. But God, so let me ask this. Do you believe in a free will?
Do I believe in free will? No.
So you're well, let me apply it in in an understanding way. We have a free will in a sense that that will is free in its limited capacity, such as I can't grow wings and fly.
Oh yeah. I think that atheists who make that argument, because we all know what Christians mean when they say free will. We all know what they
What do
mean.
they mean?
Any atheist that throws the argument about I can't fly, they're just trying to be disingenuous, and that's when they're getting into semantics that don't matter to the argument. What I mean
Okay, so what do you? Let me know
what I
what
mean
Christians
is
mean by that.
I'm a determinist, so I believe
Oh, okay.
that.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So as a determinist, I believe that, again, through phenomenal conservatism, through our experience, through our senses, through what we go through, that those build experiences and things, and then we act on impulses coming from those. If it's a case where, like, I'm going to an amusement park and I've never been there before and I've never heard anything, when I see different rides, when I decide to select what ride I'm going to go on, I'm going to use my senses, and I'm going to see something that there's going to be something that triggers in my brain, and chemicals get released that's going to draw me to one ride or the other, right? I don't believe we have true free will.
So you would agree with me then we have we live in a world that is not cause and effect, but influence and response.
Well, no, it is cause and effect. So, like, for example, I'm against the death penalty. I believe we need definitely need prison reform. But when it is the case, but when we have, like, cause and effect, it is the case that if somebody gets punished for a crime they did, right? The reason why I would support that is because by seeing somebody being punished is going to cause, with determinism, people that recognize what is happening, the fact that we even know there's these punishments, are going to cause alterations to the brain that are going to cause a person to be less likely to commit these crimes. And so that's why I think punishment is necessary, even though we don't necessarily choose to commit crimes.
So we don't choose to commit crimes. Crimes are thrusted upon us?
So it is the case that whenever we make a decision to do something, there's been studies that have been done that so for example, if I'm going through the state of premeditating to unalive somebody, right? There's a part there where I'm going through the premeditation, right? And there could be something that's going on in that course that could alter and make me decide not to do it anymore. But we do know that when the body decides to do something, the brain itself has already made the choice to do it seconds before the body decides to do it. So you're probably listening to me tell my story about stealing Pokemon cards, right? My brain had already made the decision to start opening that Pokemon card packet before I even realized I was doing it. My brain had already decided to do it before I was even consciously aware of it.
So then I think we would probably just fundamentally disagree almost on every point, because there is a certain
and that's
aspect
okay
in your brain that you can disagree with and not go forward. Like, for instance, I would use the example of addicts. Addicts get to that point where they can't help but do this one thing, but they end up going through the time of not obeying those chemicals and overcoming and becoming sober and being sober for the rest of their lives, and it's a great thing. But they
hold on. The question
overcome
is
those brain chemicals, like you were saying. That
well,
they
hold on.
but
Do
then
they
got
do
help
that?
And they were influenced, and they came to a change in personality.
So my question is, do you have statistics that talk about a percentage where they just wake up one morning without anything happening?
They don't just wake up one morning.
Right, exactly. So something happens. Normally, they would, and you'll hear whenever you hear them talk, you'll mention where they hit bottom barrel, right? And once they hit that bottom barrel, something triggered them to make that choice, right? So they don't actually make the choice. Something triggers for it to happen. And this is why there are so many others who, even though they've hit bottom barrel, they don't make the choice because their brain just doesn't make the connection, right?
Okay, so then would I just
yeah, and like Jada,
this is a
they
little rabbit
said
trail.
not everybody
Yeah.
ends up becoming sober, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, this is just a little like side trail, rabbit trail, real quick. I think you said in a previous debate that the absolute peak is logic for you, correct?
The
like
absolute
the way
peak?
that your brain, yeah, like if you want to call it God, you can call it God. If you want to call it the greatest thing to follow, kind of like you said, that logic and the way that your brain processes has never really
No.
led you astray.
What I said, the guy was trying to ask me if I believe that logic actually exists. And I said, no, I don't believe logic actually exists. I believe logic is a product, just like physics. Like, I believe, like, when we look at physics is just the world. It's how we notice the world around us, the physical world. It's how it works, right? And so when we talk about logic, it is the case that when we talk about the 3 laws of classical logic, it is the case that everything that I have observed shows that they all fall within the 3 laws of classical logic. Now, could there be something out there that maybe breaks the law of identity? Sure, there could be something out there that breaks it. It's possible that it does. I just have not observed it. So I am justified because my seeming show me that it seems to be the laws of logic just intrinsically always follow, always apply. Now, if somebody was to provide me a defeater of a case where the law of identity doesn't apply, then I would have to go and adjust my phenomenal conservatism and go, oh, law of identity doesn't exist anymore. It's just a case that nobody's provided that defeater.
Gotcha. Okay, so we can go back on track. So from my perspective, I don't think that you've kind of established how somebody is. So maybe I should pose the question, can somebody get outside of those brain chemicals like we were just talking about where you weren't logically thinking and it just happened to you? Can someone step out of that area and then go against those thoughts, or is it always going to be the same way every time?
No, the only thing that's going to cause them to step out of them are other brain chemicals. Or, sorry, not brain chemicals. It's going to be another experience, right? That's going to do it, right? And this experience doesn't necessarily... So this experience could be something as simple as one of their close friends passing away. It could be them reading an article. Maybe it... For example, me, what it was for me was... My grandparents are Shoah, they're Holocaust survivors, and it was listening to their stories, and then when I got older, I was reading on the Torah, and I was reading about slavery, the slavery verses, and had I not been paying attention to my grandparents, and I can't say this for certain, I don't know if at age 16 those slavery verses would have registered with me. But I attribute that to my grandparents' stories. But I don't know if they actually would have registered. I don't know. They may not have. But it was the slavery verses specifically that got me going, I need to look deeper.
Yeah, and just and this is where I'm kind of predicting where you would disagree. A lot of the times when it comes to slavery, we put Western eyes on it when we have to do that. We have to look at what the landscape was at the time.
Is God constrained by the landscape of the people?
We are.
No, we're not. God gives other commands that goes against the landscape.
Hold on, time out. We're not limited?
No,
We're not
God
limited?
quite literally could have said, "Hey, you guys are my people. You're my beacon. You're not allowed to mix fabrics. You're not allowed to eat shellfish. You're not allowed. You got to wear fringes on your articles of your clothing. You're not allowed to plow your entire fields for harvest. If you see your neighbor's ox out there running away, you got to go give it chase and then go or tell him and then give it chase." When he's giving all his laws, he said, and also because you're a beacon of my people, you're not allowed to own slaves.
Right. Yeah, but he doesn't do that.
No, but he could have, right?
That kind of goes into the realm of doing mental gymnastics of coulda, woulda, shoulda. And we know that all of Scripture is God inspired, but not all of Scripture is, how could I say this, void of human interaction. Would you agree?
Did God not tell Moses on Sinai the entirety of the Torah with his finger?
I believe it was just the 10 Commandments on the tablets, and then Moses came down and wrote the rest of the law out. Hold on. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so chat, I do this every time somebody mentions it because I think it's the goofiest claim I've ever heard. You might be able to see this if you hop back over onto YouTube for a minute. You might be able to see this. But the view that most Christians have, and you're not unique to this, most Christians think it was just the 10 Commandments and then God came down, right? But that's not the case.
No, God didn't come down. Moses came down.
Well, yeah. Moses came down.
Okay.
So what we have here is we have the 10 Commandments starting in Exodus 20, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, going from Exodus 20, we're going to go to Exodus 31. Just make sure it's Exodus 30. Yeah, so Exodus 31, and in these we've received slavery, we've received the building of the tabernacle, we've received all these other ordinances, and then
this is talking about the golden calf.
Well,
Sabbath,
Exodus. Hold on, no, that's 32. That's Exodus 32. Exodus 31.
Hold on. Yep. Okay.
Exodus 31 verse 18 ends with, when God finished speaking with Moses on Mount Sinai, he gave him the 2 tablets with the covenant, tablets of stone written with the finger of God. So the entire covenant. And then we go to 32 with the calf.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll just secede that point. It's not really that important. But
yeah, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you because you're a Christian, and a lot of these laws, because Christians are taught that it's only the 10 Commandments. So when it comes to these laws, you're probably never actually going to study them in a Christian church because Christians say they don't matter. So when it comes to verse 18 of 31, most Christians don't even realize that that's there.
So yeah, but I believe you might be surprised by this, but I believe that the laws still apply today, just have to be taken in the perspective of their time. Like, we have to dive into the shoes of the readers first, and then try to apply it to now. So I'm never gonna own calf, so that might not even apply to me today.
Oh yeah, well, like, no, and that's kind of right. Like, for example, I'm Jewish. We don't do animal sacrifices today because there's no temple.
Correct.
There's certain things that, so it's not like the temple laws are done away with. It's not like they don't exist anymore. They still exist. We just can't practice them because there's no temple. If there was a temple built,
there's
then we would
fight
start
going on.
practicing again. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
anyways, hey, it is 12:25. I do need to get to bed. I do work in the morning. But I
I
appreciate you
gotcha.
coming up. I appreciate the respectful conversation. I
Yeah,
really do.
absolutely.
You are more than welcome to come back up anytime you want.
For sure.
And with you also, I think as long as you don't go in there preaching, because there's a lot of other great lives that I would love to see you on. So
Yeah.
so go into my Discord, or not my Discord, my YouTube profile. Go into it. You'll see a link to a Discord channel called the Deconstruction Junction. Now the rule in there is if you start preaching in there, you're gonna get kicked. We don't only have atheists in there. Hanji, who's a theist, she's in there. We do have Christians in there. We have people of all different faiths, but it is a deconstruction Discord server. But do you have a pen and paper with you?
Sure.
Okay. There's a few channels that I want you to write down, and then go follow them when I get done, and then leave a comment saying Cyber sent me. Write in the Deconstruction Junction. Or sorry, Deconstruction Zone. Deconstruction Zone. That is Justin.
Okay.
And he uses Video Ninja just like I do, so it'll be the same thing. So, Deconstruction Zone. And then Joyful Apostate. And then a third one is Arch Thinker.
Okay.
And then a last one, they don't go live on YouTube, but they post, is, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. Shoot me a message. I'll get back. I don't remember what his name is. And Knight, if you're here, leave me a message with what your YouTube name is, because I don't remember, but it's Knight.
Okay.
Yep. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and drop you down, but give them a follow right after this. I will tell you, so Joyful is a harder debater. So Joyful is going to hold you to the fire. I get to a point where I will do that, but Joyful is going to hold you to the fire. And Justin, I think you'll have a good time debating with Justin. Just remember, with most of us, words mean words. So just remember that. I appreciate you coming up. Let's give. And how do you pronounce that name? Jocelyn?
Jocelyn.
Let's give Jocelyn some massive W's. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming up. And chat, everybody. Oh, I wish he would have stayed on topic. He didn't want to. And the issue is, so the issue with syllogisms is they see the corner they're going to get backed into. They know they're going to get backed into the corner. And they try to beat around it. And it's a case where every argument he tried to give, there's a defeater for it. I don't think he made any progress. But I think you'll have fun, especially debating Justin. I think you'll have fun debating Justin. And yes, Bad Religion.
Justin will mop the floor with him.
Justin will thoroughly cook you. Absolutely. But I think you'll have fun with that. I think he and Justin, I think he'll be a person where Justin will invite him back. I think Justin will invite him back. He seems like a good kid. I enjoyed the debate.
I don't know. You can never be too careful, because one way they'll show you one side of their personality, but with someone else they'll show a completely different side of their personality. Just a whole bunch of fucking schizophreniacs.
Yeah, and Jocelyn over on YouTube, you have nothing to be sorry about. You did good. Oh yeah, he might have said he was 33. But you did good. It is difficult. It takes a lot to get on the stage. It does. The first time I ever got on a TikTok stage, I was shitting chickens. And now my egg prices aren't that bad because I got a whole thing of chickens outside, but I was literally shitting chickens. But anyways,
baby velociraptors, crazy.
Yep. And so I'm going to let me wait, you guys aren't going to be able to see it. So for those who are here, there's 46 of you on YouTube. I have 75 on TikTok. Go ahead when we end this live. We're going to end the live. Go follow on both platforms, Reason and Rebellion. The picture for it is a railroad sign. Go give that a follow. I would love to see each and every one of you there this Thursday when Jaron and I go on tackle some other ones. This week we are going to be talking about Your God is Imaginary. That's going to be the topic this week, unless somebody sends us a topic that maybe convinces us otherwise. But it's Your God is Imaginary. Prove us wrong. And we're going to be over there and having some awesome debates with that. Reason and Rebellion is Video Ninja only. It's just the nature of it. It's just like Ian, Justin, and Dr. Blitz's Unapologetic, because of the nature of how things work. That's just how it is. But we'll have a link for that as well. And anyways, I will see you all tomorrow and have a fantastic evening. Hanji, you got any last words?
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
I don't know why she thought I was going to let her get off some last words. She thinks she would have learned with the last guess. Anyways, you all have a I'm sorry, Hanji. But you all have a fantastic evening, and I will see you all tomorrow night.
Plug